Attention all wrestling fans, get ready for the ultimate fan experience at the WCBS WrestleMania Fan Meetup in Los Angeles, California from March 30th through April 2nd. This event will bring together the biggest event in wrestling and your favorite podcast, as well as diehard fans from all over the world. This is the perfect opportunity for fans to connect and celebrate their love of the sport as well as their love of us. So mark your calendars, grab your tickets, and get ready to suck it and join us live. Don't miss out on the ultimate fan experience at the WCBS WrestleMania Fan Meetup weekend in LA. And if you're not a wrestling fan, there will be other YouTube creator events, including a trip to the brand new Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios. So listen to World Class Bullshitters Live for more updates, and for more information, email worldclassbs@mail.com. Thebestmail.com, jabroni. Submit to the High Council here on World Class Bullshitters. I'm your host, Jeff Hicks, and with me tonight is my co-host, Caffeinated Wolf.
Hey, what is going on, guys? Hail to the chat, hail to the High Council. This is going to be quite the show, more so than we expected it to be this week, I think.
Oh, yes, because the topic gods have opened up the fucking veritable well of awesome content to talk about. So, folks, tonight's going to be a great show, but beyond that, we have a wonderful guest, and he always makes this show great. Say hello to ScriptDoctor, PhD.
Thanks so much for having me on tonight, guys. I'm always flattered when you compliment me on this, because I always have a blast talking with you two gentlemen and interacting with the wonderful chat you have here at World Class Bullshitters. So, yeah, we've got a great set of topics to go over tonight.
Yes, we do, folks. So get yourselves ready, sit down, and, I don't know, have a drink, do whatever you do when you listen to the High Council. Before we do have that conversation, though, next week is the big meetup. So we're going to put out the tweet. They'll give you all the information. But Thursday, meet us at 1 o'clock at Joe's Pizza in Santa Monica. We're going to be hanging out, doing our thing. That's Thursday. Friday, we'll go to Universal. We'll have our fun there. Saturday, Sunday, come to WrestleMania or not. But, we'll be hanging out, tailgating. You can come meet us. It'll be fun. It'll be easy to find us because we'll have WCBS t-shirts on. So, folks, that was in the bumper. Ask us for more at worldclassbs@mail.com, and we'll give you all the updates. Now, let's get with this. Let's start tonight's awesome show. Now, we were talking before we went on air, and ScriptDoctor, you asked this wonderful question: does a great movie ever die? And Andrew, you had the best answer to that. Would you care to tell the audience your response to the question?
The answer to that is no. No, great movies don't die. What kills the love of movies for people is bad content. I can rewatch. Here's a perfect example. I regularly will not just rewatch one or two of. I will binge all 8 of the Harry Potter films practically at the drop of a hat. If I hear the music, if I see an image, if I look over at my freaking hardcover collector's edition book set that I have, sometimes I'll just be like, yeah, I'm in the mood to rewatch those, even if it's kind of passively while I'm working or whatever. But that's how it is with good films, good entertainment, good content. It's there and it's good. So we continually consume it over and over. And I'm sure everybody has those movies.
Oh, yeah. What's, before we ask his opinion, what's one for you besides Harry Potter?
Amazing Spider-Man.
Fair enough. No, it's funny. You'd think I would want to rip on you for it, but that one, when I reviewed it or re-reviewed it for Patreon a while back, that one sat better than the second one does by quite a bit. Usually
is the case. This one, the chat might give me less shit for Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol.
It's a great movie. I enjoy that one. Now, Script, what about you? What's an evergreen movie for you?
There are 2. Young Frankenstein and Who Framed Roger Rabbit are some of my good go-to ones, because they're just charming and silly, and you can't help but laugh. I mean, the jokes still hold up after, in some regards, 40 and 30 years respectively. So, yeah, those.
And they land better than new jokes today.
Oh, absolutely. And
that's a low bar.
Like, I loved Young Frankenstein so much that I just decided to do as much research as I could on it prior to the internet being a thing. And you learn, like, oh, this was a script that Gene Wilder wrote because his agent at the time says, I need a project for you and these 2 other guys that I represent. And I think Peter Boyle was one of them. And Gene was like, okay, I'll start writing something. And then Mel Brooks got involved and helped produce it. And he didn't do much on the creative side of things other than direct. but that's a Gene Wilder flick, and a lot of the great jokes that you see in subsequent Mel Brooks films all came from Gene Wilder. So it's quite fascinating that he was funnier than Mel Brooks, even though Mel Brooks was, Mel Brooks, right? So yeah, it's great stuff. And then of course, Who Framed Roger Rabbit and the shorts that they had prior to some of their family movies, like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Those are just great. I love those shorts.
Talk about a franchise that disappeared off the face of the earth, because I know it's to do with time and Rick Moranis, but those Honey, I Shrunk movies, or Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, like for the better part of a decade, they were just like the standard kid movie you talked about when you talked about live action kids movies.
It was
haven't watched
one
them
of
in
the
years.
few Disney things I saw as a kid, and then they did a television series with the guy from Bosom Buddies and the Newhart Show.
Yeah,
Um,
I know exactly what you're talking about. I used
yeah,
to
he
watch
recently
that.
passed away, pretty young, unfortunately. But yeah, he was in that.
I don't. The TV movie adaptation is a thing I kind of miss. I liked that as a kid. Like hell, I didn't even really like the movie Clueless as a kid, but I watched that TV show for some reason. And I think they even kept Stacey Dash from the movies and put her on the
Oh
TV
yeah,
show.
they did
So
have that TV show. I forgot about that.
anytime I see that actress that plays the lead, I'm like, hey, it's the girl from the Clueless TV show. That wasn't Alicia Silverstone. I want to commend you, not to sound like pandering, but I really like your two evergreen choices, especially Roger Rabbit, because that's a movie that while I didn't watch a bunch as a kid, I love the making of it to the point where I don't want to say I study it, but I'm fascinated how that movie was made because of the technology that was created to make it, lifelike. And that was one of the first things I ever watched on Disney Plus when it had the 4K release, because I wanted to see how good Roger Rabbit could look, at least on streaming.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Did it look good on streaming? I haven't seen it since they put it on there.
Yeah, it does. Now, remember, the censored bits and all that stuff has been edited like 5 generations ago. But other than that, I mean, picture quality looked good. If you had the right settings on your TV, it popped. So, I don't
and not
want
only
to promote
that, it's a
Disney.
film that was made by Robert Zemeckis when he was still hungry and eager to keep proving himself. So, I mean,
When do you think that stopped?
I think that stopped when I think it was Monster House, the full animated film that he did.
Okay, because that was. I did see that one and I thought it was decent. But didn't he also do like Mars Needs Moms or something like that? Is that him?
No, that I don't
Okay.
think that's him, but he did
Okay.
a Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey. He was getting really, and a Polar Express, I think, as well.
That's
He
the
was
one I'm
getting into the
thinking of.
motion capturing stuff because he thought it was going to be the next generation. But him and Bob Gale, they were like good partners in crime, but they wanted to go off and do their own things to a certain degree, and I don't begrudge them for it because they didn't have a falling out. They were just like, you don't want to be pigeonholed in the industry. At least that's the attitude at the time. So I think when he lost his support system and sounding board for creativity, he kind of like went off the rails. And Bob Gale also kind of did the same thing. Like he only wrote like maybe one other screenplay, and the one that he wrote that I have was a parody of The Origin of McDonald's. He wrote this about 25 years before the Founder movie with Michael Keaton. And,
Right.
yeah, I mean, it follows a lot of the same beats and it has a really funny joke involving a horse in a non-sexually explicit manner. So, yeah, and it's got the charm of like Back to the Future too. So like
That's high praise, saying that it's got
Yeah.
charm of Back to the Future.
oh yeah, because it's written with the same mindset involved, and it's a period piece too. It takes place after the Second World War.
Did you guys like The Founder? I thought that was a solid movie. I found myself not liking Michael Keaton though because of what Ray Kroc did in real life.
Yeah, I enjoyed it specifically because Michael Keaton made me not like him.
That's fair.
I'm glad Michael Keaton had the comeback career. Yeah, he did have the comeback because he went away for a while. Even though he came back in quotations with like White Noise, that didn't stick. He again kind of petered off and did stuff. But I'm glad he's had the return.
People were
he's
calling
had.
Birdman his comeback.
Well,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Birdman was the big one.
Birdman was the big one, but he's a character actor who got a handful of lead roles and really did well with them. But again, he's always been working. He's never had any huge gaps in his career. It's really just the status of the films that he's worked on. that fluctuates more. I haven't really noticed anything with regards. I've never seen him phone it in. At least,
No.
So, that's, and yeah, he's been working steadily for 40 odd years. That's pretty good for an actor. Not many get to do that.
I'm really happy that he's changed his tune on Batman, because if you go back and watch interviews with him around when he's playing Batman or around Multiplicity, he talks about how he's quoted as saying something like, "Oh, the fans come to me and say, hey, Batman, hey, Batman." He's like, "I played other roles, think of other things." But like ever since he did that speech at the college a few years back, he's like, "I am Batman." And now, like, when I went and saw Shazam, the Flash trailer is what it is, but when he's like, "Yep, I am Batman," like, that line is still epic. I think, what do you think changed that? Do you think just time away from the roles made him appreciate it?
I think it's because, and this happens when you have like a hit in town, is you get barraged with it so much that you actually end up resenting it, because it's like it's the same topic over and over and over again,
Mhm.
and you can't get to see the value of what the performance was when everybody just constantly says, "Oh man, you're a great Batman," and all he's thinking about was, "Man, that first movie was terrible because they forgot to put a hole in the suit so I could go to the bathroom." And when they did it for the second one, the second one was constantly being rewritten because parent groups were upset with it. So I didn't even get to have fun with the production. And even though people love it all the time, and I'm trying to be an actor and don't want to be playing Batman for the rest of my life, that is a stigma that ended up being the case around these 80s, late 70s, 80s, and early 90s, where your agent and publicist and manager would be very dissuading of you to be remembered for only one role. And an actor doesn't want to be an actor only for one role too. Like, that's something that they're kind of taught when they're being trained, is that you want to be able to change and be malleable and play other characters. But what the veterans end up finding out is that the great roles that last, that people remember, are the ones worth celebrating. And Michael Keaton, even though he didn't play the most authentic Batman, he definitely played a cool one that I was able to get behind and enjoy. And when he realized, when he got some distance from it and he realized what it was and the impact it had, he embraced it. And then here's the funny thing: when he embraced it, he started getting bigger roles, and that is usually ends up being the case when you don't act or behave resistant to something that kind of set your name in the industry. You become a bit more agreeable and a bit more desirable to work with.
Same thing happened with The Rock. For many years, he said, "Don't call me The Rock. My name's Dwayne Johnson." And then right before he took G.I. Joe, he came back to wrestling, said, "Oh, I'm The Rock again." And like everyone was like, "Yeah, you're The Rock." And then then he became like what we're tired of today. But you're right, man. You sometimes got to just remember where you came from. If I ever met Michael Keaton, honestly, I think the first thing I'd say to him was, "Oh my God, it's Beetlejuice," and see if he would do the voice. Because like, I love Batman. And yeah, it's awesome. I will drop any amount of money to buy Batman 89 stuff, even as an adult. But like, I don't know, because he only did Beetlejuice one time, and Beetlejuice really is kind of forgotten about, that'd be the one I'd be the most excited for.
Yeah, I might actually maybe talk to him about Night Shift and working with like Henry Winkler and Shelley Long.
It's a good movie.
And it's like, isn't it weird? A bunch of guys operating a morgue and at the same time a prostitution ring.
Did you ever see the movie he was in, The Dream Team?
Oh,
with Peter Boyle and who else is it? Oh man,
I gotta look that up because I'm pretty sure I have. I just got to get some images there.
Yeah, folks, if you've never heard of it, it's like a movie you would never make today. It's Christopher Lloyd, Michael Keaton, Peter Boyle, and basically they're mental patients, and they have to save their chaperone because he gets abducted or whatever during like an outing. And so it's these guys that have different issues, and they have to save the day. It's a funny comedy. I really like it.
It takes place in New York City, right? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's we watched it in college for a psychology class. They said it had value, so we watched this movie, and what I took away from it is, hey, another Michael Keaton movie I had never seen.
Oh wow,
the class at all. Yeah, that mullet, dude. I think this is his last film before Beetlejuice, and then he goes Beetlejuice Batman, and then he's the Michael Keaton.
If it was 89,
89. Sorry,
if it was 89, which I think it was, it'd be right between Beetlejuice and Batman.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, okay. That mullet.
That's a choice.
Well, they make a lot of choices in Hollywood. Some are good, some are bad. A lot of them today are stupid, and we're going
And
to
a
be
lot of
talking
guys
about
did
some of that.
have the mullet back then, just like a lot of the gals had the perm,
Yeah.
despite
Yeah, but
not being black.
no, April O'Neil wasn't the only one with a perm. But I gotta say, and I'd like the audience's input as well as your guys, the best mullet of all time comes from Kurt Russell. I can't think of a better mullet.
And it's
Ooh,
kind of
Mel
iconic,
Gibson comes
isn't it?
pretty close in the first Lethal Weapon.
Oh,
But yeah, Kurt
yeah.
Russell is
Ah, dude.
That's
what
pretty
he was
good.
sporting in Escape from New York and Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, we forgot.
And then, yeah, because Swayze didn't have a mullet; he just had a mane in Roadhouse, right? So yeah, I think I think you're right there, Jeff.
Jason. Now Jean-Claude Van Damme had one in what was that, Hard Target, and then yeah, I don't really.
Oh,
think...
and a little bit in Time Cop too.
Yeah, he's cool. Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm looking at pictures of famous movie mullets. Like, no, Obi-Wan Kenobi is not a mullet. Rambo.
Oh, that's a Jellet,
No.
Jedi mullet.
Chuck Norris had a mullet. Joe Dirt had a mullet. Oh, I forgot about Joe Dirt.
His was
I really
big.
do think it's down to Mel Gibson or Kurt Russell, though. And George Clooney. Anyway, folks, you vote for your movie mullets in the chat.
Oh yeah, he had a
Favorite
mullet
movie
when he was on
mullet in the
Roseanne.
chat.
God, the times have changed, and I'm glad the mullet is dead. Did you guys
The
ever have a
mullet
mullet?
died with the hot pink shorts for men. I remember that. And never understood it.
Somebody made some AI art of all the last presidents with mullets. It's kind of weird to
Oh
see
God.
Abraham Lincoln with a mullet and sideburns. Actually, he looks kind of cool. He looks like the lead singer of Rush. Oh, you guys can look it up.
I'm good.
Now, folks, I meant to say this at the very beginning of the show. I apologize. The word of the day is Fanny, so please send in your Fanny titles. I've been seeing some great ones, like Elizabeth Young. I think you won. But Shribbles08 says, Shafanny. Debbie does Fanny. Shafanny 2, Bush of the Gods. Fistful of Fanny, and My Cousin Fanny.
Lord of the Fannies, dude.
Harry Fanny and the Philosopher's Stone.
Oh.
Harry Fanny in the Chamber of Secrets.
Ooh,
Oh, it gets worse.
Indiana
just wanna use
Fanny
all
and the
those.
Temple of Doom.
Journey to the Center of the Fanny.
Ooh, that's a dirty one. I like it.
I regret everything.
Clear and Present Fanny.
20,000 Leagues Under the Fanny.
What is it, Lizzo?
Oh, now that you just killed all the fun, you brought that up.
I'm sorry.
Well, thank you, sir.
The image was there, and I had to get it out somehow.
Yeah, I'm having a good time thinking about
Because
the
I had
British
to
version of
pass
the
it off
word.
to everybody else.
Thanks, man. Your nightmare fuel has just ruined the show. So, folks, thank you for watching. We'll be back next time with more. But in the
Good
meantime,
night, everybody.
God, could you imagine it? Okay, I did that bit once, like
No, I'm
a couple
trying not
years
to
back.
imagine.
Well, no, please, I'm trying to move past Lizzo even existing in my brain. Why isn't she the bad guy in the Little Mermaid remake?
Oh, because you can't have black people be bad guys.
Unless the good guy is also black. In this case, I
She
guess
is?
that would work.
Yeah, like
I guess
Little
Melissa McCarthy
tokenized
can do the
mermaid.
voice better than Lizzo.
but Lizzo's a singer. She could sing those lines, right? Or play the flute. Is that what she plays?
I don't know what the hell she does.
I don't
Dude.
want to know what Lizzo plays.
I don't either. I don't care.
It's not a
I
sport.
honestly-
I can assure you that.
If you if you put a gun to my head, I couldn't name one of her songs. Like, I'm not trying to be funny for the show. There's a lot of like cultural shit that I'm very adjacent to and aware of who these people are, but I'm like, I know their brand isn't for me, so I just don't get into it. Maybe I got into this like pop culture time warp. Well, there is an age they tell you where you stop consuming new entertainment, but I don't think I'm there yet because I'm still very open to new stuff.
Well, it's not so much you stop consuming; it's that you stop appreciating it, and that usually comes to generational shifts, which is, I mean, not unheard of. But I know lots of people who are many decades older than me that still consume entertainment, and they're not even in the industry. They just love great movies and finding great movies and television shows and sharing it with other people.
I enjoy that too. That's why I tell everyone to go watch Tulsa King. I had a great time with it. but we have actually the show to go on about because we promoted it as being awesome and fun and exciting, and
Not
we're
already
here,
been
folks.
that?
Yeah, it's all been that. Now,
It
we were
just hasn't
talking
been
about-
topical yet.
No, who cares? Nobody cares here. We have more people watching now than we did at the start, and everyone's having a good time. Now, at the beginning of the show, we were talking about the evergreen movie and the content being the king of what dictates how often you'll watch a film. Like for me, Ghostbusters is an evergreen movie. I can watch it once a day. Honestly, I could watch Ghostbusters daily. It's fine. Same thing with like Beverly Hills Cop. Shout out to the listener who sent us that Beverly Hills Cop CED, by the way. Thank you. But we're in the middle of a decline. We're losing a genre in many ways. I think the superhero film has changed post-pandemic, but it's also changing right in front of our eyes. We're watching these movies have big budgets, but we're not really seeing that on screen. These movies look lesser than they used to. We're having casting choices that are fine, but movies that look worse than a generation ago. And so we wanted to ask you the flopper fatigue in the video picture, the title card. But now we've kind of decided that it's bad content, and I want to disagree with one thing because I did see Shazam and it's flopping, and I think while I agree with the statement that bad content kills the genre, I think Shazam is one of those movies that doesn't deserve to fail as hard as it's failing. Have you guys seen it yet, or have any views on it?
I saw Matinee earlier today, and it's not a terrible film. It's not fantastic, but it's quite enjoyable.
Yeah.
And the one woke thing that I caught, they dismissed it because it's literally a trope on a joke where the person is only saying that thing because they want to be the center of attention for that moment. And the fact that the rest of the family blows it off is a very family thing. Like when you have these siblings and they're like, I'm doing this. It's like, yeah, nobody cares. It's like moving on to what's more important. I understood that. I got it. I mean, it was, I'm in the same book. I think people are dissuaded by it because the habit is they go to those movies and it ends up being a disappointment and they just don't want to spend the money anymore. So when a good one does come up, or at least an entertaining one that's not terrible, it suffers as a result of it. And I don't begrudge the audience for having that perception because, again, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And that's kind of the case.
Or fool me 15 times.
Yeah.
Right.
Or, fool me because it's been the genre has been monopolized by Disney for the last decade and change, to the point where no one else has even really done a good job competing, and the one that did really botched it with their opening salvo.
It's true, and neither you nor Jeff said anything wrong there. In fact, you both said perfectly correct things. But I think it all does come back around full circle to the content problem. People, sure, Shazam 2 could be a perfectly serviceable movie. It could even be a really fun movie. But the precedent has been set now, especially in DC, for just flop after nobody's interested. And, proselytizing nonsense that we're starting to get out of all of these comic book films at this point, that people are sick of it because they've been conditioned now to expect the content to be bad, and therefore now they're just not even giving it the time of day. So the fatigue exists insofar as they're burnt out on bad content. I think people will use the term evergreen. I think superheroes and fun superhero stories are an evergreen thing. People will always love those. However, the problem is we've not had that in quite some time. Basically ever since Phase 3 ended with Endgame, people can make the argument for No Way Home if they want. That's neither here nor there. But basically ever since Phase 3 of Marvel wrapped up, it's just been mediocre at best and a lot of throwaway garbage for the most
disposable.
Part. Yeah.
It's been disposable.
It's been trashed, and people have zero interest in continuing to spend their money, and we're seeing that. This is something that Disney and DC, Lucasfilm, they all made the conscious choice to cater to an audience that was the normie general moviegoer, because they wanted that widespread enveloping audience, right? Which, okay, fair enough. You want more people to, participate in your product. That's fair. But in doing so, simultaneously they chased away their core audience. And then once you've done that, you are losing your guaranteed money, your normally guaranteed money, the diehard fans, those of us that are going to not just go to see the movie multiple times, because we are, but we're also going to get the big old popcorn bucket. We're going to go buy the merch. We're going to wear the t-shirt. We're going to buy it on 4K. We're going to do all this stuff that is truly actively participating in the brand, in the franchise, not just being a spectator, which is what your general audience is. Well, maybe they'll see the movie twice in theaters, whatever, and maybe they'll stream it on Disney Plus. But beyond that, they're just waiting for whatever the next big thing is, and they're going to move on to that. So once you lose their interest, now you've chased away your hardcore fans that were your guaranteed money, and you finally annoyed the normie audience enough to where they're not interested anymore, because now nobody's talking about the films, and therefore they're not interested. Because that's when the general audience gets excited, and I use air quotations, about things, is when everybody's talking about something, because they feel like they need to be a part of it. They just want to be a part of the conversation. They're not actually necessarily fans. They may not hate Marvel or DC or Star Wars, but everybody's talking about it, so they want to be a part of the conversation. Well, now nobody's talking about it, so they're not interested, and you've lost twice.
Yeah, and I thought I would never go see another DC film after Black Adam, because I gave the opinion I have of the film, and that doesn't change, but I actually dislike the way everything went down with that one quite a bit. Did you guys see how Zachary Levi was quoted as telling the whole story about what went down with The Rock, and how he was supposed to appear in Shazam and then wasn't allowed to because they were trying to change it up for what was it, Shazam versus, or Black Adam versus Superman or some dumb shit? Like, whatever DC was trying to do with that, I thought I was never going to go back to it. But then I saw this movie and I thought to myself, it's pretty solid. Is it as good as the first one? No, but I liked it. I would watch it over the last, 5? I would watch it over every Marvel movie since Spider-Man. Like, it doesn't have as bad of CGI as other movies.
I'll rewatch Spider-Man 3
actually
before I rewatch anything that's come out since No Way Home.
Yeah, the effects for it were quite good. Better than anything I've seen out of Marvel in a while. The movie was, it went fast for me, although it did have its points that were odd. But the kid that was playing Freddy really stole the show. I felt.
I agree.
And
he did a good job in the first one.
He did a great job in the first one. And Adam Brody was doing pretty well as well. One of the biggest problems I have with the first one is that the kid actor and Zachary Levi were not in sync with how they're performing the character, and I think they kind of mitigated that by basically just having Zachary Levi doing all the heavy lifting and only a couple of scenes with the young guy in there. But the only thing I think they really dropped the ball, or maybe they didn't and I just didn't catch it, was the story that the foster mother just wants Billy Batson to call her mom, and he doesn't.
Oh, he does.
Oh, he does? Okay, I must have missed it.
Remember when he's getting ready to transform on the final time, when they pull the battle van or whatever into that parking structure, and she's like, let me see him one last time, and he goes, I love you, Mom, and she cries out, and he goes, Shazam, and he flies off.
Oh, I didn't catch the mom part, but okay, that's good. Okay, then. And yeah, my one thing that I thought I missed was there. I'm good.
I thought that was a nice payoff. I enjoyed the whole Fast and Furious family joke, because we got that button here on the channel. It's very, low-hanging fruit for the jokes. A lot of the stuff was very obvious, but it's also that kind of a movie.
The first movie wasn't exactly highbrow either, so...
Oh, no. The world has really changed a lot since the last one came out, quite noticeably. But I'm a little biased because, in Script, you know what I'm talking about. The wizard keeps calling the one kid Freddy. He calls him Jeff 5 times in the movie because he just doesn't know his name. And I just kept laughing because I'm like, no.
Okay, that's actually kind of funny.
No,
the wizard was great.
I thought that was a good running joke.
I did too. I was I said I was biased towards it, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. And Film like Shazam, a film like Ant-Man flopping or underperforming, I was very happy to hear that news. I'm like, yeah, fuck you, Ant-Man. This is a everything wrong movie. There's everything wrong with entertainment that I hate. Even though I love Paul Rudd, I just couldn't stand how lazy and cheap that looked. This one, again, these are big corporate movies. I'm not acting like Shazam's a passion project by 5 people who've worked 10 years on a script and funded it themselves. No, but this definitely feels like a smaller underdog superhero film that it doesn't feel as samey or monotonous at times. I liked the sister, the third sister, kind of being conflicted. I liked the kid. I do think the kid acting in Shazam is pretty good, not just serviceable. Like, I was enjoying their interaction. So I think that's why I liked it as much as I did, because the cast was likable. I mean, no one's going to win an Oscar. This isn't Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, after all. But it was a fun movie, and I don't think it deserves to flop this hard. But
it probably doesn't. But unfortunately, DC, Warner Brothers, has nobody to blame but them damn selves. They put out, they had the opportunity, and I say this as a DC fan, and nobody in this space is ignorant to how I feel about Snyder's what he called a DC universe. But they led with that, and they couldn't get the DC Trinity right, let alone the Justice League or any of the other tertiary characters. So they completely squandered the biggest names in comics. I don't care if you're a big old Marvel fan. Okay, you've got Spidey. Nobody else touches the DC Trinity. Nobody. Yeah. No one else is on that level. Not a damn one. And they
Do you mean popularity or like grandiose nature? I'm sorry, I'm just asking.
Yes.
Okay, well,
no, that's the correct answer. Yes, because on paper and even just with fandom and alone, you tell everyone that you're going to have Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman in the same movie, sharing a scene together, shoulder to shoulder. That should be an easy $1 billion, and they didn't get that.
Yeah,
and it's like, that's not because of that people were tired of it. It's because the point of starting this franchise was so dark, dour, and disrespectful that people were like, yeah, no, we're out. You could bring those 3 in there, but we know what that is. You're baiting us, begging us to come see your POS sequel.
There's no justification for doing a Justice League film and it not doing Avatar money.
Yeah.
League should have been an easy W.
Avengers did $1 billion, and you could say that Iron Man, Thor, Hawkeye, Black Widow were definitely lower tier characters compared to Captain America and the Hulk. And yet it's still been, and that's just on the print side of things. What they ended up doing for the movie side and building up to that carefully ended up paying off with a reward. And Warner Brothers, with their impatience, decided, no, we're just going to do that as quickly as possible. We have to catch up. We have to surpass, and we have to get over the Marvel hump. And instead,
we're going to blow our load with Doomsday and Death of Superman in the first or in the second film in our universe.
Second film. Basically, they started running. They started running and forgot to realize that they didn't tie their shoes, let alone put on pants.
I don't even think they put on shoes. Yeah, no. They're even better. Yeah, I don't think they put on pants.
What? Okay, let me rephrase this because I'll have to use my Gamora. Why? Why is there a contingent of fans that think those movies are respectful to the audience and that think they're like these great epic masterpieces?
I'm gonna tell you, Jeff. I'm gonna tell you because I've gotten into more than enough battles on Twitter over this. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not DC fans.
Okay. Thank you. I was curious myself. This is
it's the same people. You remember when people who had never consumed Star Wars before were telling us that The Last Jedi was a perfectly good, even amazing Star Wars film, and it was totally respectful to the character of Luke Skywalker. It's the same type of shit.
Yeah. In fact, when I saw The Last Jedi, I didn't see it in theaters, but I saw
Zack Snyder is to DC as Rian Johnson was to Star Wars.
And he did it first, because when I saw that movie, I'm like, oh my God, they Man of Steel'd Luke Skywalker, because that's what the term was.
Yep.
My circle. And
that is exactly the same.
And now of course, for Star Wars, it was so bad that it ended up becoming the Jake Skywalker phenomenon. You TLJ'd it.
Oh, I have a friend named Dan who is a very mild-mannered guy. Like they say in Wayne's World about Garth never gets mad about anything. Dan never got mad about anything. Dan and I went and saw Man of Steel, and that was the first time I ever saw Dan like audibly say "fuck this movie." He's like, "This was terrible." He's like, "How do people like this?" And this is a friend that likes all kinds of movies and is very, cool with his, very chill about even bad movies. That was the first time I saw a very mellow friend get mad. But I got it. And he's not even a Superman guy. He just hated it on a filmic level. He thought it was stupid. The only thing I give a compliment to in Man of Steel is the Krypton stuff at the beginning. Because I thought Jor-El was cool.
Yeah.
I thought Lara was cool. And I thought Krypton didn't suck for once. Because
I give it that.
Because with all due respect to the old Donner stuff, which I feel is the superior Superman movie, I'm not feeling the shit on Krypton. The fucking dome, the sterile environment, and all that crap. Yeah, it's the 70s. I'm not here to dig on it, but I did like... Honestly, Man of Steel's like, what, the first 40 minutes was on Krypton? And then the rest of the movie's just fucking flashbacks and other dumb stuff.
Well, they were trying to follow the same formula of the Donner film. The only thing that threw me off was the fact that you have Jor-El in a physical fight with Zod, and Jor-El's winning. And I'm like, Zod's a general. Jor-El's a scientist.
That doesn't happen on any Earth. I don't care which one of the 52 multiverses you're in. That doesn't happen. The one thing that I can agree with that statement. The one thing that I will always credit Man of Steel for is Hans Zimmer's soundtrack.
It's good. I think of that flying theme.
I love Hans Zimmer's score, and that's not meant to be any disrespect to John Williams, because John Williams does the classic incredible Superman theme, but I just the entire soundtrack for Man of Steel I do legitimately love.
I can't remember it, and that's the thing, like it just had no impact on me to follow.
The only modern DC soundtrack that has stuck with me is the Batman. The Wonder Woman theme song's cool.
I don't actually
that's
remember
a part of Shazam.
any of the Batman's.
It was literally, the music is dun 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 dun. Let's just repeat it over. But they I actually downloaded the soundtrack and listened to it. They had it's just very atmospheric, and it builds and it builds, and I'm like, all right, this works for me.
Michael Giacchino is really good at themes. I wasn't really impressed with the Batman stuff, but it definitely has a catchiness to it, which has been missing from a lot of superhero films. In fact, Marvel, they don't have individual superhero themes. They only have the Avengers thing that you hear, that fanfare at the beginning of every Marvel film, and then the Alan Silvestri Avengers song. That's all they got. Everything else is just forgettable.
and let me just be that guy for a minute. I'm burnt out on the Avengers theme. If I never hear it again, and it's cool, but dun 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 dun. I've seen this movie so many times. It's more exciting to go to these movies and hear them drop a hint of the X-Men theme or a hint of the old Spider-Man theme or something like that. I'll even give credit to the new MCU adjacent Spider-Man movies. The fact that they pull out the 1967 Spider-Man theme, that's a benefit. That's a positive for me. But I'll tell you this: the first Spider-Man movie that pulls out the cartoon theme from the 90s with the guitar, and you see Spider-Man swinging around, we're all going to die, because that's the one version of Spider-Man that's never been done yet. You've seen the classic. You've seen the new. But that version of Spider-Man is still out there waiting. So, come on, Disney. We know you listen to this show. Give us that.
They just don't listen to fans.
I really liked Aerosmith's cover of Spider-Man for the first movie when that came out.
I do too.
I mean, I also enjoy the Ramones classic cover, but the Aerosmith kind of captured more of the attitude nerd turning into alpha male theme that Peter was going through at that moment in his life.
And I'm okay that they changed the words too, because they don't really stick 100% to the regular Spider-Man lyrics. They had something else into it, and I was like,
they had another chorus, I think, or they had another set of things.
They say something about "Sweet Surprise." That's all I remember off the top of my head.
They riff around it essentially.
I want to point something out. And this kind of brings everything back around full circle here, insofar as this opening topic. Not that we're done with it, but I do feel like this is poignant and important to point out. We have just, for the last 15 or 20 minutes, done nothing but talk about superhero films that we like. Right?
I guess we don't have any fatigue on that.
I guess there's no fatigue on superhero films, right? We just want good ones.
Yeah.
Is it so much to ask? Because we just spent 20 damn minutes, if not more, talking about ones that we enjoy.
Superhero movies, for me, there's a smaller window of the evergreen ones, because admittedly, it's got to be like I got to be feeling some of them, but some of them like Spider-Man 2 or Batman Begins in '89, like those are the three. I hate to say this, man. I think I can watch Batman Begins in '89 more than I can watch any Spider-Man movie. For as much as I love Spider-Man, those other Batman movies just kind of flow easier. Spider-Man, I need to be ready for it.
I can watch Batman Begins more than most superhero movies, but I can rewatch Raimi Man 1 and 2 and the 2 Andrew Garfield films more than... I could watch those daily, honestly. I could watch all 4 of those back to back every day and not get sick of any one of them. And there are very few superhero films that would also fall into that category. Like I'll give you Iron Man 1, First Avenger, Avengers Assemble, maybe X2. No, even I love that movie, but not even X2. Honestly, I would probably rewatch First Class more.
Ooh, that hurts. That's the one X-Men film I don't think I will rewatch ever again.
I loved First Class. I really loved that movie. I just wish for that. I wish the last 3 just didn't happen.
I wish they stuck in 1963 for a couple more movies, right?
I wish that they hadn't decided to make it the Jennifer Lawrence show.
Agreed.
Is what
that's a problem.
I think that was an issue because Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy, I think they hit it out of the park. Like, because when they first announced that movie, First Class, I was like, but Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, like those were burned into my skull for all eternity. And I was like, all right, they did a pretty good job of playing a young Xavier and Magneto. I'm here for it. I'm not going to call them better, but I will say I'm not mad about it.
I liked them. I didn't miss Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, Sir Patrick Stewart, excuse me. I didn't miss those guys. I liked the 70s versions of them. Mm-hmm. Days of Future Past, I don't know if I can... That was not an evergreen movie for me, but I did enjoy it more than most people.
I think I did too.
Well, the thing is, I'm not precious to the comic book. It's 2 issues, and I love Chris Claremont. I have nothing but respect for his run, but I don't think Kitty Pryde's this great character anymore. We've moved past Kitty Pryde to go on about how Kitty Pryde's so perfect and this and that. Look, great. If you have a crush on a comic book character, and I'm not directing that at Chris Claremont, I'm directing it at my friend who actually does have a crush on her. My point is, like, she's not that great of a character. And to hate a whole movie just because, it's not Kitty Pryde's memory or whatever she projects her spirit into the future, who fucking cares? Well, that's a dumb premise that works in a comic book and not... That's why they changed it for the cartoon.
Right. Well, here's the thing with Days of Future Past. Okay, I'm going to give it to you here. Days of Future Past is pretty much a perfect example of when I say I judge comic book movies in a multifaceted manner. I judge them on how they are insofar as adherence to the source material, or at least respect to the source material. Now, Days of Future Past is the movie I have to forget that I read Days of Future Past. I have to forget that I read a lot of X-Men comic books, and my buddy Trace can attest to that. But just as a movie, from cinematography, scripting, casting, things like that, I think it was very well done. And so it's one of those things where I have 2 very different judgments of the film based on those 2 different criteria. And there are several comic book films that are that way for me, actually. Like, what's another one? Oh, like all of Nolan's Batman films. Dark Knight Rises just isn't a good movie at all.
No.
But The Dark Knight, that's a good movie. It's not a very good Batman movie.
It's a great James Bond movie.
It is.
That's Batman Begins is a far better Batman movie.
That's
also
what Nolan
just
did,
fantastic as a movie. So that's where that comes in.
I remember when we all... Okay, I can't speak for you guys, but remember when collectively we all wanted Nolan to make his James Bond movie even after he had done Batman? They're like, oh man, it's going to be great. And then people are like, oh, Inception's like his James Bond movie. And then after that, it's like, yeah, that's kind of all you would get out of a Nolan James Bond movie. And then they made Skyfall, which was a Nolan James Bond movie, and then they killed the franchise. Talk about fatigue. Dude, I want to throw my fucking watch at the wall when I think of how shitty that last James Bond movie was. I absolutely I
still haven't seen No Time to Die or Spectre. Oh, he dies?
I haven't
Oh,
seen the last two.
well, they don't put James Bond will return at the credits anymore, Andrew. So I'll give you one guess as to why that is.
Well, I mean, like I've said this before, I have no massive attachment to the James Bond franchise. I enjoyed the three. Well, okay, I enjoyed Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, and Skyfall. I've only seen once a piece, and I would have to rewatch them to truly judge them. And I haven't even seen Spectre or No Time to Die. Yeah, I'll probably see them at some point or another, but right now I'm about to start my rewatch through of the entire Mission Impossible film series in preparation for Dead Reckoning Part 1 in July, because I'm going to go see that with my dad for his birthday.
Nice.
So I just finished binging the John Wick films, like chapters 1, 2, and 3, in preparation for this Thursday, so I can go see the 4 p.m. show.
Can you tell the audience where you're going to be after that viewing of John Wick, by the way?
I would love to tell the audience where I'm going to be. In fact, I am going to be in the Bahamas. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to be right here on World Class Bullshitters reviewing the show with y'all.
Yes, you will. So, folks, join us on Thursday at our slightly later time of 6:05 p.m. Pacific, 9:05 Eastern, our normal time zone we talk about, because I'm going to go see John Wick as well. So Andrew and I will be able to review part 4 and tell you all the fun stuff. And then the other guys, I have told them to get ready by watching the other 3 in preparation for this week's show as well. So it's going to be a very John Wick-centric episode. Now, of course, we're going to cover all the big topics and anything else you want us to talk about, but we figure, why not celebrate a good movie franchise? Because we're in the midst of one. It's like, oh, Marvel sucks, DC sucks, James Bond sucks, Star Trek sucks, you name it, they're kind of shitty. But John Wick, the new one, the one that's only been around for 9 years at this point, has made 4 films. I've seen 3, and I call all 3 of them pretty goddamn awesome to great. But the 4th one has been called a masterpiece by some, so I cannot wait to go see John Wick. There's something exciting to go see. Like, there's no apathy when it comes to John Wick. Now, there's also no billion-dollar box office coming, but I do think John Wick is going to be a hit. What do you guys think?
I think it's going to be a hit, and I think it's going to actually perform really well. I think it's going to do well with fans, and it's going to do very well at the box office. And part of that has to do with the fact that these are movies that they don't have the massive CGI budgets that, you know, Marvel and Lucasfilm and DC are pushing out, or crapping out in the case of Ant-Man. So I think this movie is set up for success. The first 3 were all hits. They're all, just as you said, Jeff, they're all very good. I enjoy all 3 of them. I forgot how much I enjoyed the 3rd one as I was watching it. And I was just like, this movie is just this series is banger after banger. And here's what my prediction and what my hope is. I think, because I just got done saying that I don't think there's burnout on superheroes, but there's burnout on garbage superhero content. I think that genre needs to sit in a corner, think about what it did, and come back when it's ready to freaking apologize and fix its shit. I think, and what I hope happens, is we see a resurgence in some of the genres that were doing really well before the superhero genre took hold and were the box office, basically. I want to see the return of the action hero. I want to see the return of the sweeping sci-fi epic. I want to see these other genres have their time to shine again, because we're seeing in real time that they can still make them. We just had Top Gun Maverick last year, right? Last year. Yeah. I don't know when I am sometimes. All
right, doctor.
John Wick. John Wick is a fantastic action franchise. Mission Impossible, fantastic action franchise. And every single one of those films has done very well.
Dude, that's the type of stuff that I'm interested in making, watching, consuming, these like interesting characters, not a team, not an event, not a multiverse, not 50 fucking people, and not 12 movies you gotta see before the last one. I just like stories. I mentioned Tulsa King a minute ago. That's a show that's just a story about a guy, and it's very low. It's got great action and stuff, but it's not like special effects heavy. It's not a multi-$100 million television show because you got a CGI, She-Hulk's neck hair or some shit like that. No, it's just a guy. It's Stallone. He's old. He's cool. He's awesome. But I want low rent, not low rent, but low
Responsible
lower-
budgeted films.
There you go. That's what I'm trying to get at, man. Just a smaller movie in that way, but nothing like I still want these movies marketed the same way. I still want them everywhere. Like, dude, if anything, what I'm nostalgic for is like remember in the late 90s, not the early. I mean, yes, it was a whole thing of the 90s, but like remember in the let's say 96 on, you got those Taco Bell summer movies. Like you got the Taco Bell dog in 98 with Godzilla and all this shit, and that was like an extra
I think I need
layer.
a bigger box.
The cross promotion.
Yeah.
The cross promotions used to be so fun. Like, I don't like to eat a lot of fast food, but if Spider-Man was at Burger King or McDonald's and it's like, eat a value meal, get Spider-Man on Blu-ray for $5 or something stupid, or like, I don't know, eat a value meal, get a free ticket or this or that. That's just fun. When the first 3 Spider-Man movies came out, I went to Burger King, to get the onion ring cups and the paper bags for the thing. Like, I got a whole set of that at home. Like, I really miss that element. Batman had it in the 90s with those damn mugs. You guys had those mugs, right?
Oh,
From
the
Batman
mugs
Forever.
and the
I remember what
glasses,
you're talking about, yeah.
And those things literally last forever. Like, they're really good quality glass. If you have them, like, I've dropped them on the floor before and they didn't break. They just go like, ding. They're good. But randomly aside, that's something that I'm missing to go along with that. I'd like to see a hybrid situation where you get a responsibly budgeted film that has the marketing campaign, but brings that back. Maybe that would be fun for audiences, and I bet it would bring attention to a movie that, from an audience that hasn't been, given that in a long time. So,
Well, you have to
aside, I know.
that excitement, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to generate the excitement in your audience. Part of the reason why audiences just aren't returning to theaters for some of these superhero flicks, aside from being sick of, just mediocre or crap content, is that the stuff that actually ends up by the people that do see it being praised or say, yeah, that was actually kind of fun, I'm not mad that I went and saw that, is there's just no real marketing behind it. It's not getting the push that it should. It's like, if you actually believe in this project, why are you not pushing it like you do?
I wonder, okay, because I do know a few people, and Script, you know this too, but like, because I know a few people that work in movies, they'll tell you like, there's, the marketing department that dictates a lot of stuff, even in the scripting elements. But like, why don't they just stop focusing only on social media? I understand how many people watch stuff on the internet, but like, there's still a reason we count down Super Bowl commercials, and there's still a reason we count down certain things. Like, I don't think you need to like leave the internet out, but like, I don't know, produce the marketing a little more. Just putting a picture on social media and seeing Chris Pratt go, hey, go see Super Mario on April 5th. That's not enough. The commercial they did where the Mario Brothers do the plumbing commercial from the 90s.
Oh, dude, that was
enough.
funny as shit.
Yeah.
I want to give. That's what I'm saying. Like Super Mario
that.
movie. The Mario movie's doing it right. Outside of nostalgia, they made me want to see this movie from everything they've shown me, because it's a good trailer, followed up by another good trailer, a Nintendo Direct that told me a little bit about the movie, and some interesting cross promotion, and a really great commercial. What more do I need? That's to me what I want a movie to, or how I want a movie to be marketed to me. That's
Redisaurus in the chat mentioned a good one. The first 2 Jurassic Park movies had really good marketing as well. And look, that's a franchise that has consistently been making money still.
Oh yeah.
Jurassic World Dominion did very well.
Despite what it was, yes. I see. There you go. There's another one, man. I completely forgot about Jurassic Park being still relevant. We're only a year removed from the last one.
Dude, I saw that movie like 3 times in theaters.
I saw it opening day, and then I went to Universal Studios and rode the ride. So
that's awesome. I am really fucking jealous of you right now. Actually, I have never been on the Jurassic Park ride.
It's awesome. It's my second favorite ride in the park, because it's just a big log flume water ride, but it's got not to scale for the Mosasaurus and the other ones, but they have like to scale dinosaurs in there, and they're all animatronic. So like Blue pops up and runs around. They got a giant T-Rex head that swings in at the end, and as you're about to get eaten by the T-Rex, you fucking ride the wave down, and it's cool. Not as cool as the Mummy ride, but that's for personal reasons.
Sounds like a heart attack.
Are you not a thrill ride guy?
I actually am, but like as I'm getting older, it's like, oh man, do I really want to be surprised in that way? Like I'm getting close. I'm closer to 40 than I am to 35, and it's like
I love that kind of stuff.
I loved it as a kid because I mean I felt invulnerable as a kid, but now I'm older, I'm like, oh, do I really want to be scared by a robot? And considering the fact that they're trying to make robots that can kill us anyways.
You know, how ironic would it be if one of the three of us died from a movie-themed robot? Like if I'm at Disneyland, heaven forbid, and the animatronic Spider-Man lands on me and kills me. If that happens to me, folks, come to the funeral and laugh. Like, I don't want you to be like, oh, it's so sad he's gone. No. I got crushed by a Spider-Man man robot. That's like the funniest death for me. That'd be like Andrew riding the Harry Potter ride.
Yeah, right.
That, or, a couple other ways.
I got freaking my ass a Vada Kedavra and fine. All right, I'll live with it. Well, actually, technically.
Oh man. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat right now. Sorry, folks. I'm laughing at everybody's comments. But
our friend of the channel, WDW Pro, did put TLJ Screwjob did make a good notation there. And guys, make sure you're checking out WDW Pro's channel. He and I put out a video earlier this morning talking about kind of politics in movies. We took a very middle of the road approach, but talking about like its consequences of these studios and corporations leaning into the political, both on their social media and in their content. So that's a great video. You should check that out. But he did also put out a video that talks about how Hollywood wanted to turn Princess Peach into a typical girl power, girl boss character for this movie. And Nintendo vetoed them and said, nah.
Thank God.
She's going to be a good character. She's obviously not going to be useless in the movie. But Hollywood wanted to like really make her, marry.
She's not even useless she's not even useless in the games anymore. Like,
no, I know.
Nintendo got with the times like way before the times were what they are now.
In Super Mario Bros. 2 as a playable character.
Yeah,
Peach is on her skirt, which is how you want women to travel.
Yeah. Yes. See, this is why we keep script around.
Yeah.
What you're telling me, Andrew, is that they wanted to make Princess Peach or Toadstool what she was in the last 2 minutes of the Super Mario Brothers movie with Bob Hoskins, grunged up with a gun. We're like, we got to go back.
Basically, yeah. Actually,
that'd have been terrible.
Like, said, that level of disrespectful bad. Yes, we know that this doesn't work.
Well, I always like how Nintendo. This is actually more of like a Japanese thing, but I like how they're always like the tradition and the entertainment stays around in some form or fashion. And I'm glad they're going to keep Peach and Mario and everything the same. And watch, that movie is going to be a hit. If they understand what they're doing, they're launching essentially a new brand. I'm not, and this is to the audience, I'm not oblivious to the first Mario movie because I saw it in theaters as a kid. I hated it then. I don't like it now.
I had the toys. On a big screen?
My mom took me, when it first came out, my aunt bought me a Luigi action figure. And I know, why I asked for Luigi over Mario back then?
Why?
Because the Luigi figure was taller, and I thought Mario was too tiny. I was like, he's too little. I don't want him. I was, 4 years old or something, so my logic didn't need to be sound. The best part of the Super Mario Brothers movie for me was the 3D book on tape that you put in a little cassette. It would say, this is the Mario movie, and you would put on 3D glasses and look at pictures. That was the best part of the movie. What I'm trying to get at, though, is this is the start of a new brand, and Nintendo knows what you got to do after you have to eat a shit sandwich. Because, yes, Nintendo has been on a fucking roll for a while with the Switch. But remember, the Wii U was an absolute failure. The Wii was a huge hit.
Nintendo was held up by the 3DS and the sales of Pokemon alone on it through that entire generation because the Wii U lost them money.
And it's not a great console, dude. Releasing underpowered hardware that only offers one gimmick that people don't like, that didn't work. Now the Switch, it's a handheld that can do all this shit, so it's actually technically impressive. But when Nintendo doesn't do the stuff right, they understand what it's like to have a failure. And so this Mario movie is how you have to do something. So I wish like a place like Disney would take note and go, oh, if we kind of operated like this, we could have those hits too. Because Lightyear was such a big failure for so many reasons, but let's pick another one that didn't have to suck, like Strange Worlds or something. Find a way to make that an interesting movie and get people excited. I think a lot of these places really do like cash in on their brand name and don't try anymore, and that doesn't work. Like Disney keeps cashing in on their brand names, and it's not working. It's character-based, not brand-based. You can't have one from anywhere just to make the money.
Well, a good mindset is to say whenever you're making a movie or even an entry into a franchise, you should treat it as though this is the first time we're doing it. This has got to be the best thing we're doing. We might not get a second one, even though in the back of your mind, there's going to be. You should really be looking at it as, okay, this is our first movie we're doing of this story, these characters, what have you. We just got to make this the best thing we can. We cannot rely on the other movies to make up for any of our shortcomings. If anything, we got to make sure that we don't repeat any of the shortcomings of the previous entries and just have a really fun, responsible time trying to put this thing together and entertain our audience and, get across the moral messages of stories, not the pontification or the agenda driven, brainwashing that they're trying to do, but just the simple concept of, hey, when push comes to shove, you got to stand up and do the right thing, which is usually a universal truth with regards to the story and film. And we haven't been seeing that, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we have a whole phase of Marvel films, which the movies are technically codependent on each other, just for one other chapter in what's going to be another phase. So where phase 1, 2, and 3 each kind of had their own individual standalone films, and then also had little breadcrumbs of a larger story at play. Phase 4 was all to set up for phase 5. Phase 5 is going to set up for, I guess, phase 6, and phase 6 is going to round it out, and then they'll start another phase with 7, 8, 9, and who knows how long they're going to drag that out with.
I don't think they're going to last that long.
Well, I mean, Disney has enough physical real estate to leverage and pay for their losses that they could go on forever if they so chose. But we, kind of swing it back to the topic of the title of this stream. They've apparently lost enough money through some mismanagement on a whole, and then putting it all on the shoulders of one face for the time being by having Victoria Alonso exit somewhat surprisingly and kind of just discreetly. She left on Friday. Marvel Studios. And this comes after Ant-Man and the Wasp didn't do well on the box office, which was a result of Bob Iger wanting to reshoot much of the movies so that it would be more on a Marvel brand. And those reshoots had to take place in December and January to meet a February release. And that's what we got. And the audience did not, they said, to hell with your brand. This is not a good movie. I'm telling people to avoid. And they weren't wrong for doing so.
No. It does get placed on her shoulders, but it's been interesting, though, for me at least, how the last few years, the last phase, is every movie's been, there's a CGI problem, there's a CGI problem, there's a CGI problem. Okay, well, we got rid of the CGI problem, hopefully. What other, let's just, for example, or hypothetically speaking, let's say her gone fixes that problem. Who fixes the story problem? Who do we get rid of? Kevin Feige? Because he's the architect behind it all. You can't get rid of the boss man. Like, this is a step, but I don't think it's going to really fix much. I think it's just like we had said earlier, she's just kind of, a person that gets fired from it.
Well, it's not like they're going to cancel all of the, projects that were greenlit that she had, input on either, right? So
no, those are still to go.
No, this is the same woman that infamously said, I don't know why we're still calling them the X-Men when we have all of these women on the team. Oh, fuck yourself.
Yeah, like you're not wrong, Jeff. It's you can't throw all your eggs in the Victoria Alonso basket and assume that everything's going to be fixed when she's gone. One thing we could probably surmise is that at least the Marvel movies' visual effects will probably be a lot prettier and more pristine, because when you take a look at the timeline with regards to her getting this new title in politics, this Hollywood politics title of president of visual effects production and post-production, we started getting reports from the visual effects studios saying we are under immense amount of pressure trying to meet these deadlines, because they'll start with an effects shot, they'll send it off for review and to get it okayed. It'll most likely be okayed, and then shortly later, maybe a day or two after they've already started some of the rendering process or the final composites, they'll be told, oh, you got to throw that out and you got to make this brand new visual effects shot. And now all that time is wasted, and then as a result, they've lost this time they needed in order to get a pristine visual effect. And what you end up getting is a sloppy one. You get a Taskmaster profile shot where a head is clearly not in sync with the rest of the body that's
God.
underneath it. And I'm not talking about the one where it's like from the shoulders up. I'm talking about the wide shot where you can actually see the stuntman's height is on level with Scarlett Johansson, and the stuntman was the same height as Scarlett Johansson, but the actress who plays that woman underneath, or at least was revealed to be playing underneath, is about a foot taller than Scarlett Johansson. So it's very disjointed. You can tell that it was a bad digital effect. The same thing happened with the stuff in the Eternals. A lot of issues with the digital effects and the solar vision and the flying and whatnot. Then you had the same issues that were being brought up with Thor, Love and Thunder, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. Things were cut, reshot, everything. All of those reshoots and whatnot are part of production, which would be under the auspices of Victoria Alonso, which means that even though she's not in development, you could have a great solid script going into getting out of development, going into production. But because she's in charge of production and post, she can order rewrites. She can order reshoots. She can change things around because it's her responsibility now. And that costs a lot of money. And I think when the bills started adding up and the budget started getting inflated for all of these reshoots and reorganizations of films, and then not delivering in the studio, even though all the ideas were vetted and approved by Kevin Feige and the rest of the team, I think it's just telling that, I think secretly Kevin Feige kind of set her up to take the fall because he probably saw that this could be a possibility. And needed an excuse to buy him time so if need be, he could right the ship. But I don't think he's going to, because he's still got contracts with the Rick and Morty writers. They're still working on those films, the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. You've got Luis D'Esposito, who is still there. He's a founding member of Marvel, along with Mitchell Bell, Stephen Broussard, David J. Grant. They're all enabled Victoria Alonso. And they've all been very supportive of all the story choices that have been made with Marvel Studios. So you're right, Jeff. This may be one aspect of the problem, but really it's literally they just got rid of the bad veneer, but the rotting wood underneath is still there, and that's got to be treated.
Absolutely. This is just removing one of the symptoms of the problem, right? So that there are plenty more to go. But you have to start somewhere, and I'll give them that much. I don't think we're going to see an about face, a 180 from Marvel anytime soon. However, what I think is important to know is that this does show that at least at some level they're acknowledging, hey, we're losing money, so we can't afford to be paying this bitch huge, gross sums of money when she's actively contributing to us losing money.
Exactly. I mean, we always would pound our heads metaphorically against the wall going, why do they do this? How do they do this? What happens? How does this happen? This is a lady that is responsible for some of that stuff. Now, I don't want to cut away from this at all in terms of the special effects. I think it's important. But after this, I do want to talk about some of her other directives at Marvel and ask your opinions on that, because she's very outspoken in Marvel's diversity push, which I don't have an issue with a diverse group of characters, but they make all these new characters that suck and have killed the brand. And so her being that ambassador, I want to know if you guys think about this question for a minute. Is it going to change now that she's gone too? But in terms of the effects and the looks and all this stuff, and currently the phase we're in and the trajectory we were on, I don't think much is going to change outside of Secret Invasion. Just got pushed back a little bit. I guess they're going to spend more time making it look better, which is good. Like, I don't mind waiting for a good thing. If a good thing takes 2, 5, 6, 10 years, whatever, and it comes out and it's awesome, like this Batman figure. Folks, I pre-ordered this Batman figure in 2020. Collectors have been bitching about it for 2.5 years that it's not out, and now it's coming out. Guess what? I'd rather wait and get it perfect than get this rush job where it's like I spent $120 on crap. And so 1 extra month, I'm fine waiting an extra month. 2, 3, 4, I don't care, as long as it's to make the product better. And I do think they're going to pump money into the CGI because it probably looks like absolute dog shit. And they got to do something to fix it. Because this is, like, Secret Invasion, say what you will about modern day Marvel comics. I'm one of the people that's been talking shit for years about them. But there was a time in the modern era where their comics were still good and still garnered conversation. I stand by Secret Invasion being a solid modern Marvel story. It was exciting to read, God, like 15 years ago. But it was exciting to read. You kept me on the edge of my seat. Who else is a Skrull? Who's going to be a Skrull? And this is one of those Marvel stories where I don't think they can afford to fuck it up. Because if they are trying to make this brand stick around longer than I think they're actually going to be able to do it, they got to build every element right. And the Skrulls are a huge part of Marvel's history. They fucked them up in Captain Marvel, but we don't really talk about Captain Marvel. This is your chance to kind of reclaim that part of the MCU. I hope they do it. I hope, their emphasis is there on that show, because that will set us up to the next Avengers and get us to the end, no pun intended, end game of all of this. I personally think whatever the fifth Avengers movie the sixth one, I think that's it. Whenever the last Kang Dynasty one is, my guess is they limp along until they get there. That's it. But I don't think they can afford to do much else besides fix this stuff, at least visually, and to get the people back on board. Because you said script about how they have so much money that they can, they have so much real estate that they could burn forever, to cover their losses in perpetuity. Yeah, that's great that they could do it, but like you said, why would they do it? And so I think they need to really fix this.
Absolutely. If they can cover their losses, you have to look at the fact that they're covering losses. They're not making any more money. That's antithetical to their business strategy. So things do have to change. Again, they make a lot of money on the parks and the merchandise that goes on there. But the reason they also make movies is because they like making more money. And if they're not making more money and you have to pull from one department to cover the losses from another, that's just bad business. And hopefully they'll change that. If anything, you could probably look at Phase 4 as the Highlander 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You can just ignore it.
Who's going to cut off Sean Connery's head?
I don't know.
He does in the first one.
They already had Bill Murray get eaten by a giant squid thing. So,
in order to ignore something's existence, first people have to be aware that it exists in the first place. And considering the numbers that those Phase 4 movies pulled in, I don't think most people were aware that they exist.
No, they're not the cultural event they used to be. It's only interesting to talk about why they're declining, because it's like the internet is wonderful for so many things, but it's great at documenting things. Yeah. And this channel, as well as many other channels we're associated with, have documented the change in entertainment, not just because it's fun to talk about movies, but like the why this stuff changes is so much more nefarious than it used to be. It's like, and I know nefarious is an intense word, but hey, it gets people to talk. But it used to be like, oh, it was just the movies, or it was money that dictated stuff. Like we talked about, I mentioned Taco Bell. That's money. That's not trying to make your movie appeal to a certain demographic by putting their, this type of food on there. Nowadays, it's all dumb reasons, honestly. Oh, we need to make heroes for little girls to go see. It's like, okay, that's cool, but just make them interesting. Like
do a good job, and you won't have a problem from anybody. That's the thing, right?
No, I was happy to see Wonder Woman in Shazam. Gal Gadot does a good job. I like the character.
Oh, does she show up in there? Huh?
Yep.
Yeah. Like that? Legit, they pull the gag. Remember how in the first Shazam they go to show you Superman and then they cut as soon as they're about to show his face?
Right.
They do that bit in the beginning of this movie, and then you realize Shazam, Captain Marvel, they actually do call him that once in the movie. He's having a dream, and the wizard kind of appears into him as a dream on Wonder Woman's body with his head. So it's this really weird visual. But do you care about spoilers anymore or no?
No, I'm not going to go see it in theaters.
Okay, so he dies in the movie. He gets killed saving his family. It's actually a really cool death. And they're like, the only way we could restore magic and bring him back is from something of a god. And there's only one of those left. And then all of a sudden, like, Wonder Woman lands. And the music starts to play. And it keeps panning up. And it keeps panning up. And it is her. You're like, oh, shit, it's her. And then she, like, does this thing with the stick or the staff. And, like, brings the power back. And he revives. And he tries to hit on her. And it's kind of funny. But she is in the movie, so if you're a Gal Gadot nut, she does actually appear.
I mean, a nut. Yeah,
I'm just saying for the people out there.
Like, I wouldn't be mad about it.
How could you be mad looking at her? She looks the part.
She looked great in the part. I remember when they initially announced that she was being cast. I was like, really? skinny little Gal Gadot from
She's
Fast and
Fast and
Furious.
Furious.
Like really?
She worked hard though, man. She looked good in that role.
She worked hard. Like she didn't bulk up crazily, but like you can tell she actually worked and put on muscle.
Now,
And
here's
I
a
was
question
like,
I have.
all right.
We always talk about, marketability and attractiveness and a certain look. I don't believe a comic accurate to certain artist buffed out, roided out Wonder Woman would actually do well. I don't think people would want to see it as much as you would think. Like, yeah, we want comic book accurate, but like, look at what that actually looks like, and they're like, you see the cosplayers do it, but it just doesn't. I don't think it translates well.
I think there is a healthy medium that could work, but it still wouldn't be like 1-to-1 in the comics, and that's perfectly fine. We don't get 1-to-1 in the comics with anyone. That we understand that as comic book fans. You're not going to get a 1-to-1 in terms of the identical look, but I should be able to look at the person on screen and know who I'm supposed to be looking at without you telling me, right? I should look at a character, be like, oh yeah, that's so and so. I don't need to have Superman in live action have a 48 chest, and from
That's not
the
that,
from the
that's not that
90s.
big of a chest, bro.
Well, here's the other part too. So there is one actor who managed to retain some femininity and still have some muscles, and that was Janet Goldstein in Aliens 2. She played Vasquez.
Yeah, she's
And-
awesome.
Yeah.
Basically, it was just like she worked the arms well. Like she had shoulder definition, but there's still femininity to it.
Hey Vasquez, anyone ever mistake you for a man? No, you.
No, you exactly. Yeah, like that's
That's fucking rude. It was a great line.
That chick was cool, man. I loved her. I hated to see her go.
Yeah. And she went out like a badass though. So
she did. But the thing is, like that's if I was in the casting room for Wonder Woman, I'd be like, that's whoever we get on talent. I would say, okay, go talk to Janet Goldstein and be like, how did you get your arms? Get those. We'll take care of the rest with the costume.
well, all things considered, I think Gal sold it.
She definitely worked hard on the legs because the camera definitely kept focusing on that all the
Yes.
time.
I had no complaints in the theaters for that.
Well, I mean, those are the only assets she really has as a woman, and they're very good assets. But like again, she's a very tall actress for actors. I mean, most actors in Hollywood, women are between 5'2" and 5'4". They're typically like that. You'll get a few that are taller, but they're usually wearing 6 or 7 inch heels, or Frankenstein boots. But like she was pretty tall. She stood fairly well with Chris Pine, but the thing is, like I personally didn't get a Greek goddess vibe from her, even though I do find her attractive. I didn't think she sold too well because again she was cast by Zack Snyder for Zack Snyder's own affinity, as opposed to can she actually really act? And sadly, when it comes to Gal Gadot, even though I think she's a charming woman, all the movies that she's done outside of Wonder Woman have been unable to register with an audience overall. Even the Netflix one she did with The Rock and Ryan Reynolds, which
That was terrible,
did not hit well with audiences. She even did one with John Hamm where I think she was a spy. And
that was terrible too.
Nobody saw it. Again, one thing that you have to say for Snyder is that he does have an eye for beauty, but not necessarily skill. And I think Gal is got some skills in other parts, and I don't think her being a leading lady is best for her. I think she works better in the supporting role that steals the show for that brief moment, and then just kind of fades away. she's the glimmering it girl, the Allie Landry from the Doritos commercials. you see her in short bursts, and you're very grateful that you've got her for just that moment. That's why I kind of really enjoyed the Wonder Woman scene at the end of Shazam. It was 90 seconds ish. It was in and out, and it worked to her strengths. Because
I agree that she's not the greatest. I agree that she's not the greatest actress in the world, but I don't think it's giving her enough credit with the first Wonder Woman movie. Because clearly, very few people share that opinion.
That's fine. No, that's fine. Yeah.
And that first movie, while I will agree that its third act is very weak, I think the first 2 acts are incredibly strong, and the third act is mainly weak because of what they wound up doing with Ares, with the villain. That was a weak showing. It was just a bunch of lights and lightning, and it's like, you do better than that. Come on, this is Wonder Woman. We just watched her kick ass for an hour and a half. This is what you're giving us for the final battle, really? But I think she plays the role perfectly well. You said she's charming, and that is true. And I think that her acting ability, while limited in range for sure, I think at least for the character of Wonder Woman, she can play it very well. And I think she showcased that in the first movie. She has a couple moments in the second one, but I try to forget that Wonder Woman 1984 exists because that movie was really bad, even though I like her suit much more in that one. I like the brightened colors on it because as a DC fan, I don't need these muted, darker, I'm pretending to be an edgelord, still in high school, color palettes on everything. I want my colors. I want
Dark,
big
serious.
I want Big Blue to actually be wearing blue. Not that's like gray with a tint of blue.
I want the trunks on the Superman costume. I
Me
don't
too.
care what year it is. It's part of the fucking look.
Not only that, it breaks up the monotone aspect of the single color. And also, how is a onesie more manly than a guy wearing a shirt and pants with some trunks like a boxer? Like, come on.
Dude, I'm with you 100%. I think what happened is a lot of people, it's like the Aquaman thing where everyone would repeat and parrot the fucking jokes from Family Guy. So for a generation of people before that movie came out, Aquaman was this ridiculous joke and everyone heard it on Family Guy. It's kind of like the Superman thing about underwear outside of his pants. Honestly, until there was like a movie or a TV show that made a comment about it and then everyone got self-aware. But as a kid, I didn't even know what the hell I was looking at. I was just like, that's Superman's costume. And as an artist, they always teach you, and this is a trend. I don't really follow fashion trends for men as much as I guess everyone else, but it's they with Andrew Garfield, they did this with his Spider-Man suit. They make the torsos long because they say it appeals to women. So that's why Spider-Man suit, his first one, they got rid of a lot of that belt to create that look for his torso. Same thing with Superman. They streamline that look and get rid of the trunks and create this whatever look they're going for. But like with you, I think it breaks up the suit. I think the yellow belt helps to break up the monotony. It helps create a stronger upper body, which makes Superman look more imposing and scary because he's got to look the part. You don't want some... It's Superman. It's in the fucking title. Superman. And if he looks like James Gunn, you'll be disappointed because it's just a dude in a fucking suit.
Yeah, and on top of that, the trunks hide the holes needed to go to the washroom. So, I mean, seriously, like you have a flap in the back, you have a flap in the front. It's like, okay, Superman, you got to go take a leak. All right, take 5. It's not a whole plastic bodysuit that you have to get out of just to take a leak. It's okay. Drop the red trunks. Go do your business. Wash your hands. Come back. All right, it's only been 6 minutes. We've already reset. Let's take it again from the top. And there you go. Practical. I mean, that's the one thing that I laughed about during the pre-production of Batman Begins when I was hearing rumors of this just before I started, where they're like, yeah, we're making the Batman cowl, but in order to make Christian Bale move his head, we built this mechanical spine up the back of the cowl so he could assist in the movement. And here I am, that film student guys, thinking, why don't you just make the top half like of the head and then just have like some loose fabric around the neck and you have the cape cover up everything and he can turn his head. And then what they do, they kind of figured that out for the second movie. It's like 4 years later. It's like that some of the people like in the costume departments, they're so big on trying to be cool for the still shot that they're forgetting that there's an actor and a stunt actor inside that has to be able to pull off the things that are being written on the script.
I think sometimes that actually hurts.
It's because a lot of that stuff is done in CG now.
Yeah,
they rely on that,
which they shouldn't be doing. I mean,
I don't disagree.
Yeah,
I don't disagree, but I'm just saying that would be their excuse, so we don't have to worry about that because that scene's going to be CGI'd anyway.
Sorry, I just got a notification that the people are Damon Lindelof left Star Wars. All right.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I sent you that earlier.
I'm like, good, we just dodged a bullet.
Oh yay, that movie that we all New was never
he
happening.
was the only
Isn't
one
happening.
out there pitching that he's got this thing, and I'm 99% sure that he never had it to begin with. It was an internal assignment project because Disney's been trying to get a Star Wars movie for the last 5 years, or 4 years now, sorry. And Lindelof's like, oh, I've still got a name in town. No, you don't. And I'm just going to go to the trades and say that I'm doing it. And Disney will just have to agree because that other chick she got the Acolyte doing the same thing. And Iger's like, no, I'm not falling for that trick again. Stop talking, Lindelof. You're not doing Star Wars. We've seen Prometheus. We've seen all your Star Trek films. You've seen Lost. Get out of my office. And I think and that's why Lindelof made that statement on social media that he's not involved and that he should be eating in the kitchen instead of cooking. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
Dude, that's perfect though. Nothing of value was lost with Damon Lindelof's Star Wars. So I mean,
he has as much talent as he has hair on his head.
Oh,
ScriptDoctor with the fucking burn. I don't even know what else to say about that.
Okay.
Oh, I've despised Lindelof since the 90s. If I saw his name on something, I'm like, I'm avoiding the hell out of this.
Yeah, I would know to avoid. After watching Prometheus, I was like, I don't want to watch anything that guy's done, and I haven't.
He did Watchmen for HBO, and he thought he was getting a second season.
If anything could make Zack Snyder's Watchmen look slightly better by comparison, it was HBO's Watchmen.
Yep.
You talk about an adaptation that's faithful to a fault. I mean, there are parts. Zack Snyder working on that one is like, why even watch the movie? Because it's so much of it's just 1-to-1 from the comic, which is cool. I get that. That's what we want in adaptations. But like, I think he upped the violence to an unacceptable level that I thought was stupid.
I didn't like his Night Owl costume. I thought he ruined the point of Night Owl with the super techie.
You know, I always took that as a commentary on the Batman movies, as trying to make a joke about how they took the movie suit or the regular like cloth suit and then overdid it. So I thought it was just kind of a commentary on that. I never really had an affinity for any of the Watchmen designs. To be perfectly honest, I don't enjoy reading Watchmen in color at all. I think Watchmen in color is kind of ugly. It's intentionally colored a certain way, but I don't enjoy the color palette. I have a black and white edition. That's my preferred version. Dave Gibbons. I think Dave Gibbons' artwork gets lost under a lot of color in that book.
I'm just personally not a fan of Watchmen.
That's okay.
I enjoy the book for what it is, but it's a book, not a training manual or instruction guide on how to do comics or movies.
Well, that's the problem. That's what everybody and their brother in modern comics and in Hollywood thinks that they have to do. They have to try and be their own little Dollar General version of Alan Moore and use character deconstruction on everything. And that doesn't work on everything. And it only works sometimes in very small doses. And it still requires the person actually knowing what they're doing with the character, because how character deconstruction is utilized now is it's an excuse for a hack writer who doesn't know fuck all about a character to say, okay, I'm going to break this character down to one little thing that I think I know about them and throw everything else out. That way I can focus on that one thing and I don't have to worry about how the character actually is for the entirety of my run.
That's one aspect of it, and I completely agree. And I have this rule, which is funny because I did this twice at Warner Brothers as an intern, and nobody actually had a problem with me doing it. But if I ever saw the Watchmen trade in an office for production for like an action film, I'd grab it and I just toss it out the door. I'd be like, "You don't want this. Is not what you want to do." This is a movie that's kind of like commentating on the disillusion of superheroes, and we're trying to make a movie not necessarily about a superhero, but about a hero, trying to do good. This is not what you want to do. And what's really funny is that there was one time I did hit another intern who was walking in the hallway.
Oh shit!
And I mean, the Watchmen's the trade is a thick book, so it kind of hurt, and I had to apologize for that. But yeah, like it was just like one of the jokes I did at the Burbank studio is just listen guys, like, I may be an intern stuff here and you're asking our opinions, but listen, I like this book a lot, but this is not what you want to do. You're just going to do a derivative take on this and it's not going to work. And that ended up being the right course for some of their little indie projects that they were financing. So sadly, you're not getting that on the bigger studio heads because, again, there's, to Andrew's point, it's very easy to deconstruct a character. But if you can deconstruct a character and give a depth to what it's about, that takes talent. But we haven't seen anything like that in 20 odd years, at least. And even then, I'd have to think really hard to pick that up.
I'm just over deconstruction. Honestly, it's been so long, and I want Donner Superman. I don't want Snyder Superman. And I also too, I guess this also
Snyder
falls
didn't
into the.
do Superman, so you don't have to worry about that.
He did Super Dick. He was a dick in that movie. But I also don't want like James Gunn's comedic deconstruction of superhero movies either. I don't need him to be grimdark, but I also don't want a parody. Like, there's got to be a balance. And like, you can laugh, you can have fun. Bring the comic in comics. That's what I say about my own books. Like, Wokebusters is a comedy, not just what it is. And I like that kind of. I like having all the emotions, but there's too much emphasis on comedy. Like Spider-Man 2 is the perfect balance for me.
Yeah.
No, Spider-Man 2, like, I enjoyed the movie. I just despise the premise that him being heartbroken affects his powers. Because I'm like, okay, that's really beta male attitude. But I do love, like,
I think that happens in the books,
really,
though.
It probably did, but even then, I still think that's kind of a red herring pseudo conflict because Al Molina killed it as Doc Ock. Like, that's why I watched the movie for him. No offense to Tobey Maguire, but it's like he was doing really well also. But it's just the whole, I'm Spider-Man, I'm stressed out, and I don't get the girl, so now I can't shoot my webs, and my eyesight has failed, and it's a psychological problem. It's not, and it's an internal psychological problem, which is not something that, that's not how I prefer those types of things to be done. I like psychological problems when it's usually happening from an external aspect or a manipulation from the antagonist. In this case here, it's just beta male. I'm in high school, first year, second year of college, and all I care about is, the girl that got away. It's like, be a man, get over it. There's other women.
Dude, that's the
hardest lesson for us men to learn, but when we learn it, it's very valuable.
We're like, that's why I wish the Raimi series would have continued, because I did like his interest in Mary Jane, because they changed her up. They made her more of like the ultimate version where she was his neighbor and part of his life and all this stuff from an early age. So like, I like that, but I also was ready for him to like meet the Black Cat and what's her face, Deborah
Felicia
Whitman,
Hardy,
and just Felicia Hardy, like all these other characters out there for Spider-Man to interact with. He doesn't have to have romance with everyone, but the cast of Spider-Man is so big. Like, really, if you're to say, Jeff, name 10 Spider-Man characters, sure, I'll name 50 in a row, and I don't even have to name the supervillains. Like, I can list you Daily
the
Bugle
Ringer
people. The worst Spider-Man villain for me is probably the Gibbon. It's just a guy in a monkey suit. That's it. And he jumps.
That is scratching the bottom of the barrel.
Dude, this is in the 70s, too, where, they've already created all the greatest characters, but they would still go on to create more better characters in the future. But no, they didn't. The Gibbon. Folks, if you want to look up a disappointing comic book, look up the fucking Gibbon.
Don't save yourself the disappointment.
Heartbreak. Yeah.
One of the things I'm actually kind of hoping to see if Disney Sony take this angle when it comes to the next Spider-Man trilogy, which is that Mary Jane knew Peter was Spider-Man before she met Peter, because she saw him climbing out of his window in the costume, and put two and two together, because I thought that would have been a fun opportunity that we haven't seen before. That's one of the things I liked when I remember reading that in the comics. And when we saw it in the Raimi version, I'm like, okay, I get it. They're going safe. I'm cool with that. But now that we've got this new trilogy supposedly in the works, I'm hoping that they do that, because there's nothing more fun than having dramatic irony where Mary Jane knows that Peter's Spider-Man and she's just trying to get to the real Peter because she's interested in him, and he's constantly having to go away and put on a different type of persona, a mask in front of her to not be able to hang out with this supermodel redhead.
I love the book that I don't know if it's originally from it, but the Parallel Lives book where it tells the story of how she always knew. Like Mary Jane in the movie, she's kind of dumb, but like
In
in the
Sam
book,
Raimi's movies, she's
yeah.
kind of fucking useless.
Yeah, I mean, if they would have kept a couple
That
of
is my
things,
biggest criticism of the Raimi trilogy. Not even the mismanagement of just Spider-Man 3 overall. My biggest criticism is that Mary Jane was useless.
she was definitely useless in part 3. Well, let me rephrase that. How do I want to say it? Like,
And she also was no
She was
supermodel.
there.
I'm sorry. Like,
yeah,
I
no.
like Kirsten Dunst well enough. She's cute, but she is not banging supermodel Mary Jane Watson. I'm sorry, she's not. You can
And
be
you know
mad, people, if you're a big Raimi stan, but as
I
a
am, and I'm
Spider-Man
not mad.
fan, this is the facts.
I'm okay with her being an actress though, because remember in the book she's not a model for that long. She becomes introduced to this guy named like Jonathan Caesar, and he either fucks with her hardcore, and she becomes more of an actress on TV. And then Mary Jane doesn't really have much to do. Honestly, she gets like pregnant, has a miscarriage, hangs out with Peter for the rest of the 90s, and then they kind of reboot her into an actress. Like I like the supermodel Mary Jane,
Me too.
but they haven't done that in a while, I don't think. Cuz she was dating some like Robert Downey Jr. looking dude in the comic book like around '08. And then
Which is
never mind, I'm not
ironic
going
because
to go
in the
into
2000s,
What's
Marvel had her helping Stark run Stark Industries.
that. That's what I stopped reading.
That's
I
kind of the
I almost
funny
threw those
irony
books
of that.
away.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. However, the if they were to get an actor or a woman to be a supermodel Mary Jane Watson, the body that they depict in the comics is not what a supermodel looks like or has looked like for like 30 years. So if she was
No.
like the new it girl because it's, hey, Mary Jane, she has curves and swagger and sex appeal, but she still has an air of innocence and mischievousness to her and confidence and is not is a hard get. Like that's the other part too. That's what I liked about Mary Jane is that in the comics she was a very hard get, not just for Peter but anyone trying to get after. Like she was not putting out easy, and that would be something that I think would have some pretty interesting impacts with today's climate because you can have a very fun will they won't they and get back to fun flirtations because the actress that they got Zendaya to play this
That's not Mary Jane.
Melissa, whatever her name is.
Michelle Johnson.
Oh, it's Michelle Jones.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
they
Michelle
kind of
Jones
had
lost
some
me.
chemistry, but there's no fun flirtation. And yeah, I get it, they're kids, but we know that they're not going to be hooking up. But you can still have flirtation for high school kids. That's above board. And we didn't get any of that there. It was just more like nervous awkwardness. Okay, now we're in a relationship. Did we ever see them actually go out on a date? Nope. They're just hanging out on the rooftop and talking and just boring. Like I want to see a dinner scene, or going to a movie. Like we got something close to that with Homecoming with the other chick, but just didn't have the magic that you need in type of a romance thing. Like that's why I like the Donner Superman to bring it back is Superman with the interview with Lois. It's he turns it into a date, and then at the end when she's pretty much just literally swept off her feet and talking with now Clark. He's like, yeah, we're just going to go out for a burger. He's like, I've done my job. I know I've got her.
Dude, how awesome is that scene though when he like perks up for a second and he's like getting ready to say something to her and then just goes and slouches back down and walks out. That's a great scene.
It is. And when you look at the mirror, she's staring directly at him with his glasses off and she's just completely oblivious. That's how much she's enamored with what she just saw.
See, and that's something that really pains me as a moviegoer because the subtlety is lost in art. People in the comments earlier were talk about an adult movie or something like that. Yeah, we're not going to talk about porn, but we'll talk about, real drama in these things. There used to be that level of like effort when it was new, and they tried. That's what we're kind of lamenting. It's not the fact that it's genre entertainment, it's that it used to be good, and as there's more of a lens on it, they do it worse. But every other element, like,
Well, they're catering to the lowest common denominator now. They're catering to people that aren't fans.
the lowest common denominator aren't coming back though.
Not
And
anymore.
they don't have money.
Not anymore.
No,
And that's the thing.
people-
That's why we're seeing these films get just horrendously panned at the box office.
Now, I think we should check in with the audience because they've been very, very patient. So,
That's a
Script
good
Doctor,
idea.
if you wouldn't mind, would you pick a number between 1 and 69? I'll press a button and we'll check in with our audience.
21.
21, here we go.
Finkel is Einhorn! Einhorn is a man! Oh my god! Einhorn is a man!
I felt so bad for him in that scene.
A comedy that's also a very good mystery. Like, God.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's a smartly
the
written
first one.
movie.
It is.
Surprisingly
one-
smart.
The second was just too self-aware and stupid to
It
to
was.
work on that level.
It was like Shaft Goes to Africa for Ace Ventura.
Did I tell you I watched it for the first time recently?
Oh God.
Oh, I think on the last time we were together. Yeah.
Okay, because I'll spare you repeating it, but man, that was the lesser of all of them. But I didn't hate it. I just would never watch it again. Now, Gear Stark, thank you very much for your super generous super chat. He says, "Ding, ding, the Marvel witch is dead. Goodbye, Victoria. Don't let that door hit you on the way out. Let's hope Kathleen Kennedy gets the door too. Good evening, High Council. Terminator bike to Mark's yesterday news." Well, let's press the button, and then we're going to talk about that, because I've seen some people guessing old KK could be next, and we'll talk about it. I shouldn't laugh, but he's gone. I'm terrible. Now, to answer your question, though, Gear Stark, about the Kathleen Kennedy stuff, do you guys think this is any indicator that she's going bye-bye, or do you think this is just a lot of people putting that out there hoping to be right?
I mean, look, we've been hearing that she's leaving or getting fired or whatever for a while now. I'll believe it when I see it. We said this last week. Like, if she ends up leaving, because there are some new rumors coming around from, I think, people that I consider credible, saying that it's possible that within a year's time we will see her exiting. Whether or not that turns out to be true, that's anybody's guess. That's one of those things where I'll believe it when I see it. But I'll tell you what, when I do see it, I will buy a big old handle of scotch or rum, and I will drink to the occasion, because that is going to be a celebratory night. And in fact, I think we should have a fucking super show the night that
we will.
happens.
Oh my god. No matter what we're doing in life, we will stop the minute it'll be like the end of Return of the Jedi, like we said.
Yeah.
Everybody will get together. Now, StreamYard's got this thing where you can stream on multiple channels at once. So we'll just chain everybody's show together.
Mm-hmm.
Do it like that and help everybody grow. Now, I heard from my source, I won't reveal who it is, but I can guarantee that Kathleen Kennedy will be dead in the next 40 years. There you go.
That's
Quote me on that one, folks.
and that's a risky bet right there.
But
I know, but my sources are never wrong.
I feel like she's got that black magic or something, where like she's got something that is keeping her around.
Yeah,
We'll
she'll
see.
be very old. She'll be
I'd
over
love to be
100 at that
proven
point.
I would love nothing more than to be proven wrong there.
But Gearstark, thank you very much. Shrubbles08 had the word of the day. I don't know why he deleted the message, but we still read the word of the day. Thank you,
It was
Shrubbles08.
Fanny. Yeah.
Yeah, Fanny.
Fantastic.
I always go for the British version of the word. My mind is dirty. TLJ Screwjob, thank you very much. Favorite joke from Blazing Saddles and Spaceballs? Mine are the toll booth and the way the one guy says, "Oh shit," before he gets his balls zapped in Helmet's intro. That's a good one. Okay, guys, first off, what's your favorite joke from Blazing Saddles?
Oh, the Gene Wilder one where he's like, "See my hand? Yeah, but I shoot with this one." And he brings up the one that shakes.
I have
can't
only seen that movie once, so I could not tell you. Spaceballs, on the other hand, it's probably he must be running around naked somewhere.
Now, I can't say my favorite part of Blazing Saddles because I really don't want to get dinged on YouTube. But the
It's a good
Kansas
one,
City,
man.
the Kansas City blank, that joke, that whole scene, That just whole part is hilarious to me. But for Spaceballs, that's either you idiots that you've captured their stunt doubles. No, it's not. No, my favorite part of Spaceballs is very fucking obvious. I would have pressed the button for it. I made a really dumb button with it, but fuck it, we'll press it.
Ludicrous speed! Go! What have I done? My brains are going into my feet.
And then the part where
I don't know what to do right now.
I made that a while ago. It just sits there.
I don't know how to feel about what I just watched.
Most don't. But my absolute favorite part of Spaceballs is where he goes, we can't stop. It's too dangerous. Bullshit. I ordered you to stop this thing at once. And then just fucking crashes into the wall. That part kills me every fucking time.
Yes, I like that. That part actually goes into one of my favorite jokes, which is when they're watching the movie on tape,
Yes.
and then they get to the sync where it's like, well, what happened to now? We just missed it. When?
Just now.
What happens about then? Soon.
Yeah, dude, that quote from Spaceballs, when will then be now? Soon. I say that as often as I can. If you talk about a movie quote that's become a part of your normal everyday lexicon, that's one for me. If I can quote Spaceballs, it's a good day. And yes, TLJ Screwjob, I know this is a long way to talk about Spaceballs, but thank you for sending that super chat.
But is anybody mad that we were talking about Spaceballs?
Hell no.
As long as it's not History of the World Part 2. Jeez.
Or as we call it here, Spaceballs 3: The Search for More Money. That's a bullshit show. My buddy's been telling me all about it, and the guys on the show aren't happy about it either. So,
yeah,
folks, maybe we'll review it. Maybe we'll review some Mel Brooks films. I mean, we're all fans.
Let's do History of the World Part 1.
Part 1 is good. In fact,
that's a great
the
freaking
opening
movie.
of Part 1 is what should have happened to Part 2.
Wow.
What's the one he did, High Anxiety? I thought that was pretty funny. It's a weird movie, but it is what it is.
Yep.
Oh.
High Anxiety and Silent Movie are probably the two weirder Mel Brooks films.
I saw High Anxiety as a kid, and I'm talking like single digits age. But for some reason, I just sat through it and liked it, and I watched it again as a teenager and enjoyed what I watched. Everybody's going to say Spaceballs or Robin Hood Men in Tights or, Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein. But there's the other ones he's done that I enjoy. So I guess I should just do all of those. Folks, if you want those, press 1 in the chat. Now, Sojourn says, I don't know if the panel are horror fans or reversed aside from Jeff, but a common trope in the genre is the bedroom horror scene. Any faves from the panel?
I don't watch a hell of a lot of horror, to be honest. This is the only one that's immediately jumping out to me is from the original Friday the 13th. That's the only one that's jumping out to me right now.
Yeah, Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, that's it. Because I don't watch the horror movies that I watch are like supernatural or paranormal horror, like The Conjuring type stuff, and that's pretty much it. I don't watch a lot of slashers, and those are the ones that tend to have the bedroom. You're in the middle of they're in the middle of screwing, and
like in Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah,
dude, that. You brought up the bedroom, not from Freddy vs. Jason, but the first Freddy Krueger movie where Johnny Depp gets sucked into the bed and then vomited out as a pool of blood, and it goes onto the ceiling, and then his mom sees it.
That's
the best bedroom scene. That is amazing.
That is gnarly.
Yeah, thank you, Vertical Horizons. That's the one my brain went to right away. I'm like, fucking Glenn, he ate it hard. Oh. That's a great first role for Johnny Depp, and that was one of the things I always respected about him. Because anytime he would be quoted or asked about A Nightmare on Elm Street, he always gave a positive thing. Like, he was on inside the actor's studio. He's like, yeah, it was a good first movie, or yeah, it was a good experience. Kevin Bacon, on the other hand, shits on Friday the 13th and shits on everything about it and refuses to be a part of it. Johnny Depp came back to Nightmare on Elm Street for part 5, I believe, because they thought the movie was done and they weren't going to do anymore. So he's like, yeah, I'll come back and close out the franchise. So, folks, if you watch that movie, there's a small cameo where he gets hit in the head with an egg.
Yep. Kevin Bacon is more of a Tremors fan. So,
I mean, how could you not?
That's a franchise to be really proud of and hang your hat on.
Yeah.
What's trashier, Friday the 13th or Tremors?
Oh,
that's
trashier. I think this 13th, but more enjoyable is Tremors. I mean, even though both are pretty enjoyable, Friday the 13th is kind of a made up as they went movie. Tremors, they go for it. They bring in the hippie from Family Ties to be the gun-toting nut.
Stephen Keaton was a wonderful TV father. I actually really like Family Ties. It's like, I won't call it a guilty pleasure because I'm not embarrassed, but when I was in college, dude, I watched every episode of that shit in a row because I found it on Netflix. So when I would come back from class, I would eat and watch Family Ties for hours on end. That's all I did in my free time.
Hey, man,
now,
you've grown.
I am. I was grown at the time. I like Michael J. Fox. What can I say? He's my
fair enough
top 10. He's my top 10 favorite actors. Love the dude to death.
Top 10. Okay, all right.
Because the thing is, he always makes me laugh.
That's fair.
He's got a great sense of comedic timing. Always gets
that
me.
is all the reason you need. Honestly, you don't have to work to convince me.
Now, up next, we had one from where are we at? Sorry, that's the wrong tab. So thank you, Sejorjan. Shrubbles08 says, I'll take a Joe Rogan slap nuts and a message, please. You got it, Shrubbles08. So let's get to that first one and give you your message right now. Where'd it go? Sorry, I thought I had it all queued up.
Message! Message! Message!
And you also asked for this one as well, which is right here.
Did you see that guy accidentally hit that moose with his car?
No.
Holy shit. Jamie, pull that video up.
It's Mr. Flatnut to you.
Got him.
El Capone. Darian217, who's a listener we'll be seeing at the fan meetup very soon, says, the end game was the literal end game. Captain Marvel TKO, please, and check your Twitter for another scheduling question. Thank you. Also, Wayne's World... Oh, BJ, you mean the hand job? Yeah, sure, I'll press the Wayne's World button anytime you request that, folks. It's a happy day for me here on World Class Bullshitters.
Oh, excuse me, Russell, but I believe I requested the hand job.
And then, it's just a joke I didn't get as a kid. And then you also requested this one.
You got knocked the fuck out, man!
Best scene in the movie. 10 out of 10 would rewatch.
All right.
You got knocked the fuck out, man!
See, this
There
is
you
why
go.
Jeff and I are friends and great co-hosts. We enable this kind of shit.
Oh, dude, I was on social media today and I saw somebody use the phrase cape shit. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't know if it has anything to do with us, but I'm like, yes, somebody used it. Fuck yes. And it wasn't
Love
even
it.
in one of our groups. John Thomas, thank you for your super generous super chat. If we were drinking, I'd chug a whole beer right now. He says, okay, I didn't see Wonder Woman 84 until the other day on TV. No way will I say it's as good as the first one, which I loved. I agree on having her struggle with letting Trevor go as inconsistent for her. Was the TV version re-edited?
No.
Depends on the channel.
No, not I'm aware of. I think the movie is just bad overall. I don't have a problem with her missing Steve. That wasn't the issue. The issue was, well, apart from the fact that she kind of raped a guy.
Yep.
There's that. She's hung up on the first man she ever bedded. Like, jeez, for
Doesn't that
decades.
Okay, well, let's hold on here. Let's not dismiss it like that and reduce it like that, because Steve Trevor and Wonder Woman are a thing, and their chemistry was off the charts,
Mhm.
and it was a well-written, simple albeit romance in that first film. It wasn't just like they had the hots for each other and so they did it and then he died and she felt bad for 5 minutes and then okay, get the fuck over it. No, that's not like your first, high school sophomore year crush where you date for 3 weeks and break up and it's the end of the world. Let's not reduce it to that.
They went to war together.
Yeah, I don't think it should be reduced to that. But I will say that it is incredibly inconsistent with her character to, like, basically grape a guy.
Well, they conflated her cherishing Steve Trevor's memory with obsessing over it.
I agree with that.
And
it was
also, they
weird.
only used Commando as the only frame of reference for 1985 or 84.
Which was stupid because, like Cocaine Bear, I thought Wonder Woman 84 should have had way more 80s music and way more 80s
Cocaine.
flair.
It didn't have, for a movie that's supposed to take place right smack dab in the middle of the damn 80s, it didn't have a hell of a lot of 80s feel to it.
Oh, no.
Stranger Things, I think Stranger Things overloaded it to a degree, but also Stranger Things didn't ruin it for everybody else. It's not like they bought the rights to all the best 80s shit. They just know
Stranger
what to do
Things
with
also
it.
made a bunch of people that happen to watch Netflix think they know what the fuck D&D is. So I've got my own gripes with that.
I never was a D&D guy, so I just was
Fair
like,
enough.
all right, that's what those kids play. I like video games. Because, like, we're all, in the same type of pool of geekdom, if you will. It's just like, I don't touch tabletop, but I will play any video game you want to throw my way.
I don't do like the model tabletop stuff. Like I don't do like the Warhammer. That I got respect for people that invest in that because that's a freaking time sink and a money sink and holy shit. But hey, man, you grown. You do what the hell you want with your own damn money, and if that's what makes you happy, more power to you.
I would get lost into painting those damn models. Like, I will never allow myself to get into Warhammer because I like, dude, I collect action figures, and that's pricey enough as it is. And now I'm getting into the point where it's like, I'll get the boutique ones because I like them. But then if I get like a Hasbro one, I'm like, well, Wolverine's claws aren't really silver, so I'm going to go ahead and paint those myself. And I find myself like customizing my shit now. It's like, they didn't paint the tip of Han Solo's blaster silver. Let me get my paint pen out and my tape and do it real quick myself and let it dry for a week. Like,
That's dedication. That's freaking fanaticism. That's fandom right there.
that's actually an indictment of Hasbro's shitty quality, because if I spend $30 for a 6-inch action figure, god damn it, make it look like the thing I'm supposed to buy. Don't put it in a paper box, don't wrap it in a piece of wax paper, and don't sell it to me as a premium product. Knock off 50% and I'll be happy.
You and I are going to have to do a show one of these days where we're just talking about our collectibles and like the piss poor quality that some of them have gone into and like the good quality that others have, because you are absolutely right. Hasbro, they put out just like shit.
Now, real quick before I don't want to miss this guy. Let me just press this real quick. And back to what we were saying. Yeah, dude, what I want to do, see, I'm friends with the guys over on the 3POA podcast. Bobby Vala from Valaverse Toys, Laser Pants, and Tony from Analog Toys are all three of my real life, like, Facebook buddies. We talk every once in a while. I talk to Laser Pants way more often than the other two guys, but I love them all. And I gotta create this Avengers toy stream I've been talking about. I'm friends with Michael from Retro Blastin' and a couple other of these great YouTubers that make content that I love. We need to do something like that, man. I want you to be on that one too, because I think you'd have fun.
I'm here for it.
We could all
man.
geek out about that.
I am absolutely here for it.
Oh, and by the way, folks, if you want to ask me on Thursday or tonight what anime I accidentally got into and can't stop watching, we'll talk about that later too. But we have a show to do. But I wanted to make sure I throw that out there because some of our listeners are definitely excited. Now I'm going to read just a few more, and I'm going to do the Fuck, Marry, Kills all in order a little later because I want to make sure we have that fun segment. Now,
boy.
Adam Wofford, thank you very much, says Michael Clayton movie where he's running a car factory and it was bought by the Japanese. At the end, he gets in one of the cars and it falls apart. Have you guys seen Michael Clayton?
I have not.
I think so.
That's Clooney, right?
Yeah, that is George Clooney. I know that much. I know who stars in it. I've never watched it, so I have no memory of this place.
No, in my head
That's
I
the
thought of this-
Tony Gilroy. Yeah.
He did Rogue Squadron? No, wait, Rogue One? No.
Well, he started.
Okay. Sorry, he was involved with Star Wars at some point and then left, right?
No.
Oh,
It was weird. He circled a Rogue One, and then he was brought in to correct it, and then he did
okay.
Andor as a result.
Oh, okay.
I'm not the biggest fan of him as a producer and writer. Yeah, that's it's just that's what it is.
There's Script's
he
thoughts on
He
that.
does the Bourne movies. He wrote Armageddon.
I like the Bourne movies.
I did too. Talk about a franchise we don't even remember though much of anymore. It's like, oh yeah, that was a thing.
Well, it's because they came out with Bourne Legacy and nobody liked it, even though it was a fine movie, I guess. But it just didn't feel like it. It felt like it should have been its own thing, not part of the Bourne franchise. And then they did what they just called it
Bourne,
Jason
right?
Bourne, right? Was the last one, and it's not that it was a bad movie. It was serviceable. It was fine. I think it had just kind of the franchise wasn't that big enough to where it could justify continuing with sequel after sequel after sequel after sequel. It's like it felt like 3 was enough, and I was perfectly happy with that. Like I didn't need anything beyond that.
Hot take: the Bourne franchise ruined movie making for 5 years, maybe even 10.
it did.
Why? Because of the quick cuts and the fight scenes?
Yes, and that stupid fucking. I watched them.
I knew
make
exactly
J.J.
what you were
Abrams.
talking about.
Folks, you know how you would get that effect on film? A motherfucker would tap the film canister as they shot it. I saw them shoot the Star Trek movie that way. It's in all the special features. I'm like, what is this? I would, like, back then, I would kill for a clear action shot because even James Bond, Quantum of Solace, wanted to be the Bourne Identity so bad. That movie is just quick cut, up in your face. I don't even know what the fuck. I watched half of those movies. That, and then that stupid fighting style that they created for that movie rolled over to Batman. That's how the Christian Bale shit looked. He fought just like Jason Bourne. You know what, I'm glad I brought up about, like, not remembering it, because fuck those movies. Underneath it all, they're fine for what they are, but they did ruin movie making way more than they ever helped, and I blame Matt Damon personally.
It was supposed to be fast and intense, and it did the exact opposite, to the point where you're like, man, I just want to see a Jet Li or Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee movie where they actually choreographed and it looks like they're hitting each other and it looks like they're actually trying to injure each other as opposed to quick cuts away.
Yeah,
the action shots, and
I enjoy
Liam
the
Neeson
movies.
trying to climb a fence.
I enjoy the movies and I enjoy the concept of the fighting style. However, the choreography is abysmal. I don't like the quick cuts. I can't stand that with choreography when it comes to fighting, because when I see that, I'm like, oh, so you're telling me you can't actually choreograph this? You couldn't get 2 people that could actually do the shit. Got it. Like, I want to see some follow through here, people.
As do I, man.
I don't want to see somebody like wind up a punch and then it cuts.
Well, in comic books, they teach you how you're supposed to, like, you frame the action. There's this really great this textbook where they'll show you, like, a ball falling, and they'll show it, like, in 6 panels versus 3 panels. And, you know, the ball falls, bounces, hits the guy's head, pause, ouch. The other one, ball falls, hits his head, ouch. 3 panels. So you can get the same action. But these other movies, with the fight scenes, they tell you to train for too. It's like you show the action, the build up, you show the follow through. These movies don't show any kind of follow through. Everything looks like little bitty punches. Like, I don't even know how the fuck half of this shit looks like it lands. Like, if you watch an old Connery Bond, he's throwing haymakers, he's pulling his fist back, he's decking dudes dressed as chicks or chicks dressed as dudes or whatever he's decking, he's hitting them all in the face. He's whooping ass. Like, It was, even when you watch, I was watching George Reeves' Superman the other day, because on weekends I watch weird shit. I decide I'm going to watch something and get into it. So I got into some George Reeves' Superman the other day, and, like, even he was whooping ass the way he was, like, he looked so powerful. Nowadays, the way we denote power is CGI flash across the screen, or shoot a gun, or, like, not a gun, but, like, shoot a power blast out of your hand or something. Characters do not know how to, like, they don't really make characters move and look cool anymore. They all rely on armor or, like, superpowers, and it's just like superpowered shoulder thrust or superpowered fist. Like, they don't do anything awesome
These
anymore.
actors that, for the most part, at least a lot of them these days, can't actually do this shit.
Well, they're not supposed to. They're actors. I mean, we're not going to get a scene with Michael Keaton's stunt double as Batman deflecting 2 katana swords off his gauntlets, in a back alley in front of Vicky Vale. what we're gonna get is we're gonna get a big close-up intense shot with sparks flying by, and then all of a sudden some sort of gas-propelled explosion is gonna hurl the villain away, and then whoever's playing Batman at the time is just gonna cuff him up, turn around, or just vanish. Seriously, it's like we're not gonna get any kind of fun choreography stuff, and even if we do, it's either going to be way overly intense and unrealistic, or so quick cut and subtle that you don't know what the heck happened.
How wonderful would it be if Batman in this film is like the actual 89 Batman, where they get a cape guy and all this other shit to like really elevate the character? I ain't gonna happen. It's just gonna be Michael Keaton in one suit and a couple stunt doubles. But like, I can dream, right? They want me to buy all the merchandise.
I mean, I don't. There is a 99.9% likelihood that I do not see this movie.
I don't really want to see this movie, and I don't really plan on it outside of like if I'm with friends and they're like, dude, we got to see The Flash. And I'd say, why are we friends? No, in reality, nobody I know wants to see this movie. I smiled when I saw the trailer this weekend when Batman came on screen, because I was like, hey, Batman! And I bought an action figure. No, I bought the Batmobile. I think I've pretty much shot my shot with Flash.
Is that the Todd McFarlane Batmobile?
Yeah, I want to pull the trigger on the damn Batwing, but it's not accurate enough to the 89 one. It's the modern updated one.
Oh. Yeah. I've got 2 Toy Biz Batwings and like 3 Toy Biz Batmobiles from like the actual 89 run.
Oh, nice. Hold on to those.
Oh, dude. Well, out of the 3 of them, only 1 is complete because things break and whatnot. Because they're cheap plastic from back in the day. But,
especially their Toy Biz ones too. Those are the cheapest ones.
They were, but the thing is, they were good designs and they functioned quite well. Their second. Yeah, the stuff after that was far better. But one of my buddies, he actually 3D prints replacement parts for all those things, and he 3D printed me the missiles that go in that thing, because you can't find them on eBay for cheaper than $25. So yeah, he got me a pair of those. Those are awesome. They also shoot farther than the Toy Biz ones originally do. So,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
as a massive Flash fanatic, that movie's very existence is offensive to me. So like the Flash is my shit. I spent a good few hours yesterday correcting a Screen Rant article over on Twitter. So, and then one of my followers in the replies was like, this was great, I was hoping to learn more about this character. So I was like, oh, fuck it. So I spent another 35 minutes typing up a character breakdown of that character that he was interested in, only for my Twitter app to just, for no fucking reason that I could figure out, back out and not give me the option to save as a draft. So I had to type the shit up twice.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. But I was dedicated. I'm a Flash fanatic. I call myself the Flashback savant on
there is something ironic that The Flash, a movie about the fastest man on Earth, takes about 7 to 8 years to make.
Yeah. And the main justification for anybody going to see it isn't even The Flash. It's Michael Keaton's Batman.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's what if Michael Keaton was involved in Man of Steel by way of The Flash?
Yeah. I did hear that, Clone Geek, and as much as Tom Cruise is one of my 2 all-time favorite actors, I saw that and I was like, yeah, but I don't believe you. I cannot conceive of a world where that movie is actually good, and that's not enough to convince me. It just reeked of desperation. Even though I don't see Tom Cruise as that kind of guy, it reeked of desperation from WB for this movie to turn a profit because of how much they probably sunk in reshoots.
I don't think they wanted to make money.
Elaborate. Like they want it to fail so they don't have to leave this universe, or they can leave the universe? Or?
Well, the thing is that there's
as like maybe the excuse to cut ties with Miller.
No. Miller's not coming back. He's too much of a head case. Regardless of the rehabilitation he's going through, I'd be shocked if he were to stay on board. But basically looking at it this way, if this movie does perform very well, that means that it's going to have a shelf life beyond its theatrical release, which means that Warner Brothers will have to start paying out all the gross points on profit, or sorry, all points on the gross to the cast involved for years to come. And I don't think they want to do that, considering how much money they've already sunk into it. I think that you're not going to find any major player in the studio system in Hollywood that's going to bash this movie. It's not going to happen because that they just won't do that. They want to make sure that Warner Brothers is appearing as if they're doing their fiduciary duty and trying to make this movie, accessible and appeal to the broadest demographic as they can, so that anyone invested in them can't sue them for false advertising for basically trying to lose money. That being said, they haven't done anything more they could have released this movie before The Batman and nothing would have really changed. If that's just the case. They've held on to this thing for far too long. And it's not really the reset, because even though James Gunn does say in his thing that it's resetting the DC universe, it's resetting the old universe. And he says the start of the new DCU, the DC film franchise, is with Superman Legacy. That's your...
Yeah, and we've still got Aquaman 2, which I think is going to...
And Blue Beetle.
And Blue Beetle, yeah, which I think are potentially going to not do well. Look, Blue Beetle is something you do when you've had a bunch of successes that you can start throwing shit at the wall, like the MCU did Guardians of the Galaxy. DC doesn't have any major successes as accolades to be able to have that excuse.
And I like the Blue Beetle concept, but I think that Blue Beetle would have been better suited for a Batman Beyond type relationship as opposed to what they've actually done. And because I think Ted Kord and Booster Gold is a pairing that you kind of want to get together with.
Well, I'm fine with that. That's something that you do, though, I think, as more of a... I think you do that as an HBO Max limited series or something. I don't...
Agreed, yeah.
I don't... And you do it with Booster Gold. You do Booster Gold and you do Ted Kord. You don't just try and have Blue Beetle doing a solo thing. You have to make a buddy cop fun dynamic, because that's how those two characters shine. You are not going to find box office success, and maybe I'll be proven wrong, but I don't envision a world where Blue Beetle does anything of significance.
Well, they're going to try and Spider-Man him. And I mean, Blue Beetle, they've been trying to Spider-Man a number of times, and the Jaime Reyes version. And I don't begrudge them for trying to. I mean, it's a formula that works, but I think because I'm not a big fan of Batman Beyond in concept. I think it betrays the character, but I understand why people like it. But when you have something like Ted Kord, where he's about the inventions and about discovery, and you give him as like he's retiring because he has heart problems and all that stuff, because that's where that came from. I mean, Chuck Dixon wrote that Blue Beetle is having a heart issue and he had to retire, and lo and behold, a couple of years later, Batman Beyond has the same exact premise for why Bruce Wayne gives up being Batman, which for two reasons: the heart problem and the fact that he had to pull a gun on a criminal to save his life and rescue the kidnapped woman. But I don't think that Bruce Wayne would be the type of character that would give up from that. I think he'd be the type of guy who's like, I'm so committed to this, I'm getting my heart fixed. I'm not going to just let it, debilitate me and risk and risk Gotham as a result of that. It's like, I'm a billionaire. I can get a brand new heart. Be it cloned, artificial, transplant. It doesn't matter. I've got it.
Dude, Batman Beyond is one that part of me is waiting for. Like, I would love to see that movie in theory, but with The Flash, I don't really think that's ever necessary now. This, like, digging up the old hero trope really only works once, like, a character lifespan. And so we're doing it with Batman now. And it's cool. I like my Michael Keaton. I like Ben Affleck. But I don't like this. I don't like Ezra Miller. That guy's a fucking nutbar.
Yes.
Dude, he is off his nut by 1.5 miles, and that's probably undershooting it.
Yeah, you're being kind.
I am being very kind, yeah. I want you to stay monetized.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
I have a lot of thoughts on Ezra Miller, but I would like this show to continue to do well. And to that end, chat, thank you so much for being here. You guys have been awesome. Been roughly 200 of you hanging out with us most of the evening. Thank you all for the super chats. Thank you all for engaging in the conversation with the three of us here. We enjoy having a ton of fun with you guys.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm believe me, we go on and talk and talk and talk. I don't ever really I'm just like, yeah, I'm into it. I don't care. Let's just keep on going. Now, we'll get back to the audience. Let's see. Did I have anything else to read? Actually, we'll save those because we'll go into our next segment, so we don't have to go on all night long. But I do want to ask you guys, really, with the Victoria Alonso situation where she's left, there's been articles, like from the Hollywood Reporter, where they talk about how she was the champion for the diversity push at Marvel. She was the one that wanted certain things in the MCU. Now, again, we have a face to blame the CGI problems on. Do you think this lady being gone will mean, and I don't like this phrase, but I'm going to use this lowest common denominator colloquial phrase. Do you think her being gone will kill woke Marvel?
No.
No,
I don't
because
either.
the problem, just like with Kathleen Kennedy, it's someone who certainly has influence. There's certainly pull there, and there's definitely somebody's agenda getting pushed through. However, it's not just one person. This kind of a thing doesn't happen because of just one individual. There are a lot more jobs that need to go away, and a lot more people that need to be shown the door before we see a turnaround at Lucasfilm or at the MCU. That said, like I mentioned before, this is like you can look at this as a starting point, and it's like, okay, so now where do we go from here? This I see more as an acknowledgement of, okay, we are kind of losing money here. We need to like shed some of the chafe out of here. But I don't see the MCU turning around anytime soon. I'd love to be proven wrong. Shit, I love superheroes. I love Marvel and DC. I love Star Wars. Nothing would make me happier than to see these turn around and actually be good and fun again.
I think the advertising is going to die because Victoria Alonso was the only woman of the founding producers of Marvel. The rest are all straight white men. Mm-hmm. And a straight white man can't sell a woke ideology. It just doesn't work because woke is preaching to the converted.
Unless they're claiming to be a male feminist. That's pretty much it.
They're claiming that, but when you see the women that are on the arms of the other producers, excluding Kevin Feige because he's never with somebody, you cannot get them to pass for being woke. they are with they have some very beautiful spouses and very traditional type looking families on the page. So she was the only one that could have lobbied this during the movement, and because again she's a woman and Brazilian, I guess, or from Venezuela or something. But she's using that as her street cred to preach the ideology to stay on brand with what Disney and the rest of the company wanted to do. It you could not believe that if you had like a Mitchell Bell going up there and saying, "Yep, women are an oppressed group, and I can prove it because I'm a straight white man. And I do it all the time." That's not really good advertising for Marvel if you were to say that. So who else was there to say it? Well, Victoria Alonso, and that's why. So with her gone, and the fact that we haven't had a replacement announced for her position to show you how important that really was, I think the advertising for it is going to diminish until someone else comes in that can fit the role to push it again if they decide to continue with that direction, which is likely, but that's not necessarily guaranteed.
So I didn't realize Victoria Alonso was gay until making the video, because I just know that the guy that ruined Marvel Comics is named Axel Alonso. So I thought this Alonso family in some way hated Marvel and was destroying it from both sides. But no, they just have the same name, but they both have the same problem. I only ask that because, again, we are always trying to figure out why these things suck, to get to the reasoning behind it. And yeah, it's a lot of moving parts. I just wanted to ask you guys that because, again, I see a lot of people think like, the victory. It's like, this is kind of like a multinational company saying we're fucked up and we're trying to fix stuff. It's a publicly traded company. They can't hide these things. Mm-hmm. So, like, of course we're all going to read into it, or we're all going to theorize what's going on. But no matter what, things are changing, which is going to be interesting. Because if it was the same old shit, my God, talk about Ant-Man flopping. Yeah, it's fun to take one victory lap, but it's like, it was a shit movie. What else is there to say about it? Now there's a reason to talk about these things.
I when I saw the screener for it, I could easily point out what was reshot and what wasn't. And part of me suspects that there was a good movie in there that got completely butchered in the reshoots, the forced comedy. And here's something that I pose, because we haven't heard from the director, Peyton Reed, at all about Ant-Man. Not once. The only person who's talked about it was the writer. And it didn't go great. But why hasn't the director come out to talk about the film? Like, was he proud with it, or was he disappointed? That's kind of important stuff to go with at this point. It's very rare that we have a flop like this that the director is 100% silent. Usually they do something in the trades where they try to mitigate the issue and say, well, okay, the audience didn't get it, we don't blame them, or but we don't have any of that. It's like he's gone and not necessarily into hiding, he's just gone dark. And I feel sorry for him, because I thought he did great with the first Ant-Man, and he balanced what he had to do for Ant-Man and the Wasp with that big undertaking to lead into Endgame. But yeah, there's a lot missing from this one. Here, it didn't feel like it was his movie at all. Didn't have anything that was familiar to the previous Ant-Man films either. So
I'm glad you brought up
wondering
the
about
first.
that.
I thought the first Ant-Man was solid. I actually take back. I love the first Ant-Man quite a bit. The second one, it is what it is. But I want to ask you a weird question, and I'll have to pull up more examples. But do you think movies with like obscenely long titles actually hurt for some reason? Because Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantumania is like a really shitty title. It doesn't roll off the tongue. It doesn't make sense.
Only the Japanese can get away with titles that are practically reading a whole damn paragraph.
Yes, like the sins of my father will be avenged. Dragon Tail the Fourth. Like, yeah,
That time I got reincarnated as a slime at 4 p.m. on a Tuesday evening in January. Like,
yeah, I would say there is like Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. That worked, for what it was, but it was a deliberate satire, basically predicated on the fact that a general realized what happens when he orgasms and then thinks that's a Russian tactic to get his bodily fluids. Like, that's the whole premise of the movie, and it's brilliant. But yeah, I think sometimes too long of a title that can't have a good initialism or acronym associated with it can probably hurt the advertising and the retainability of it for an audience.
Because I think Black Panther Wakanda Forever is a hard title too. Not as dense or shitty as Ant-Man and the Wasp in Quantumania, but like I just think that's the thing, because like all of a sudden we have a trend of like one-word titles. Last year you had Beast and Ambulance and a handful of other movies. They just that's the thing. Elvis. What else would you put on that one? But my point is, the simplicity seems to be the key, and trying to overdo it with titles. I guess maybe they just inundated fans with on every level, and it's almost just sensation overload to a point where it's like, I don't even know how to talk about these things because it's just so much to consume. Now the titles are 10 words. Like,
yeah,
they're not doing themselves favors.
They're not. I mean, you wonder, is it? I'm just wondering, like, what would be the most weirdest titled movie ever? And it would be a movie titled the same as that world's longest name in Wales for a town. I can't pronounce it, but it's like 30 odd characters or so. It's spoken in the movie Barbarella as the password, but I can't repeat it for the life of me. But if they did that as a movie title, no one would be able to see it, but they'd be like, hey, that movie with the terrible long name, let's go check it out. You get these ridiculous aspects with movie titles, and coming up with titles is tricky. But yeah, I think the simple 5 words or less and not tongue twister words would probably be your best bet when doing movie titles. Just figuring it out. I mean,
do you think we're past putting a number in sequels, or do you think they're still trying to do a bunch of that?
You know what? I would prefer they do the number, just because 20 years from now, people are probably going to want to know what the order is.
Yeah.
And nobody really tends to look for dates on movies. And not only that, I still think majority of them still do Roman numerals. And I don't know if people have been learning Roman numerals in the last 20 years. So will they know anything about that later? So yeah, I think it's fine. I'm still surprised that the Marvel films in themselves are still using the superhero name in the title. I thought they were going to go like James Bond eventually, where it just be Marvels and then or Marvel Studios, and then the movie is Quantumania, and it's like, oh, it's an Ant-Man thing. Like James Bond is, Pierce Brosnan is James Bond, and Ian Fleming's GoldenEye. Like they're not. It's 007 is the category of the films, but each film is actually just the title of the film. It's not really 007 GoldenEye or James Bond GoldenEye. It's GoldenEye. It's Moonraker. It's You Only Live Twice. Like those are the movie titles. They're, they do that franchise in a very interesting way, and I figured Marvel was going to go in that direction just to keep things slimmer because their titles are getting a little crazy.
Well, they have the Marvels, but that's literally the only one that doesn't have a superhero name in it. So it's like,
but you have like
really
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Like that's a mouthful.
Yeah,
really is.
It was a lot of movie to watch, but
like I would have been fine with it just being called Doctor Strange 2. I would have been fine, actually, probably not having seen it.
I prefer to call it Doctor Stranger.
Doctor Stranger, and then the third one's Doctor Strangest.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's an easy way to follow. Just the conjugation. I mean,
let's take a look at Now You See Me, and then the sequel was Now You See Me Too. It's like, no, it's Now You Don't. It's like, but they didn't do it that way because they're dumb, and they think the audience is dumb because they're like they won't know it's a sequel because it says it's Now You Don't as opposed to Now You See Me. Now, yeah, just. Gosh, that's the industry we live in today.
Yeah, they dictate so much. Sadly. What did I want to ask you about something else? Oh, well, I don't think I remember it now, so it's not that important to try to pull it back. Oh, no, it's not you. One thing I did see in the chat, though, somebody was asking about adapting live-action anime and manga. That's something they've tried to do.
And it almost never works.
Yeah, I don't think it ever works.
No,
Ghost in the Shell's fine.
Ghost in the Shell as a movie is enjoyable. I actually do enjoy it as a movie. It does take quite a few departures from the source material. So there are plenty of criticisms, legitimate ones to have there. I legitimately enjoy Alita, and not for the unironic reasons of like, oh, that was what like certain people were trying to have that be the anti-Captain Marvel film. I didn't really give a shit about that because I didn't give a shit about the Captain Marvel film. I just enjoyed the hell out of the movie, and I think it was very well done. But apart from that, like every now and then the Japanese will do a live action of an anime, and when watched in proper context, it's done well. But Western studios adapting anime and manga, no, just stop doing that. You're not good at it. You don't
Akira
understand
with
how to
Keanu
do
Reeves?
this. No.
Remember that was a thing that was like on the books forever?
Yeah.
No, I don't want that.
But
I want Keanu Reeves doing things like John Wick.
Yeah, but the anime itself it's an art form specific to what it does. Like you watch anime for the anime, for the visual part, it hooks you in, but then the story like pretty much fastens you down. Yeah. At least that's the intention that they try to do. Again, anime is not perfect, just like any other medium. But that's what they're trying to do. It's the allure of the art form in and of itself. And when you put that into live action, you're actually robbing the very thing that makes anime, which is the stylized, hyper detailed, hyper frame depiction of an adventure. The only thing I could say anime needs is some better improvement on the English translation of dialogue because it's too literal and they talk like robots.
I'm going to throw something out. I'm going to throw something out there that pisses people off. But first, let me agree with you. When I'm watching Parasite, the anime I was talking about, the character of the parasite, like the main guy falls asleep, and then for the next 30 seconds, the character explains what's going on, and I'm like, man, that exposition is dense, but I like it, I guess. That's that is what it is. But the one thing I won't shit on it, but I'll say is of the anime I've watched, and it's quite a bit, very rarely does any of it have decent music. So much of it has like opening and closing songs that are fucking terrible. Like I love Parasite, but the opening song is shit. It's just like the words make no sense even when you translate them. The singing sucks. It's just a bunch of screaming, and then there's this like shitty R&B song that tries to close out the show. It makes me laugh. Like the only one that I can actually get into is Lupin the Third because it's all jazz and it's great. But
Cowboy
most
Bebop.
anime I watch. Which one?
Cowboy Bebop's soundtrack.
Oh yeah,
And-
that's a good
Yeah,
one.
that's pretty good.
And Persona.
I have never seen Persona. I only knew it as a game series.
Based off of a video game, yes, but the music is stellar.
Yeah,
I-
my college roommate used to play the Gundam Wing soundtrack a lot because some of the songs in there or some of the instrumentals are actually pretty cool. The songs with the lyrics, not so much. And that's how I kind of got into like the Gundam series because I thought that was some decent anime of like from the 70s all the way up to I think 2007 or 8 is when I last was watching it. But yeah, I think Cowboy Bebop was absolutely fantastic anime, and it had brilliant music. And every once in a while, you'll get another hit catchy tune with them too. But to your point, Jeff, yeah, I can't think of like with the amount of anime that is out there. There's not a whole lot of songs that pair well with it, I would say, at least for my ear.
Dude, it's a lot of the ones with the vocals, and that's why like I enjoy Dragon Ball Z quite a bit. I'm of the age when it was airing on Cartoon Network, so you'd come home at 5:30 it'd be on. But I only enjoy Dragon Ball Z with the American music. There's like a level of intensity that builds. When I watch the Japanese one, it's like orchestral. It's not even orchestral. It's like TV
cheery.
orchestral. Yeah, it's cheery and weird. It's got all horns and shit, and it's like funny. And I'm just like, no, you guys have perfected the actual art form. The animation looks great, and the intensity, the stories and stuff. But when you blend it with the American music, I thought it was like how Power Rangers works for me. Like I've tried to watch Ranger many times. I hate the fucking music. I think it ruins the tone of the show because it's a kids show, both continents, but like their version, it's like bright and cheery and you're just like, yay! But like with the Power Rangers, you're like ready to fucking go. You're ready to amp it up. Same thing with the Dragon Ball Z theme. It starts out with a recap of the show and then it's like on Dragon Ball Z and that guitar plays and you're like, wow, oh my god, what's next? You gotta make.
To your point, like especially for Sentai, Gosei Sentai Dia Ranger, the series that followed the original Power Rangers version, has better music, and it has music that actually kind of echoes Star Wars a little. And it's also a really good, like I think it's 45 or 50 episode story arc, which also echoes some Star Wars. It borrows from Star Wars and it does it quite well. It's the Thunder Zord version of Power Rangers, but the original.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like with the White Ranger is in that one, but he's actually a kid.
Little boy.
Yeah. He's
Better
a
than
pervy
Justin.
kid too. It's quite crazy what they get away with in 1991 or something of that time.
It's funny too. Like I've seen a lot of those comparison videos and the clips and stuff. I always get a chuckle out of it. It's like, why is the White Ranger trying to look up a lady's dress on a skateboard? I don't know.
But it's actually a really good story. You've got a main character who's trying to reconcile with his dead father, and like every single character actually has a story throughout the 50 episodes, and it's really quite good. It's one of the better ones of that era. But also it has good music and for a live action thing, and most of the other Sentais don't have that much. There's another Sentai called Gaiman, or not really Sentai, but it's kind of like that, and it's got just a catchy disco 70s song from the era, and he's a space cop. It's pretty cool. Like, yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff going on for the Japanese music and their visuals, but anime is of its own thing, and that's all I've got to say on that.
Yep. I'm glad I'm not the only person, because the next and skip intro button can't come quick enough on Hulu when I'm watching Parasite. It's like, all right, first lyric, skip. I even know at 2 minutes and 44 seconds you can go back into the show. I've timed it in my brain. So
that's a long opening credit sequence.
It is. It sucks too. It's just
45 seconds to like a minute 10 is your sweet spot.
I had recently gone through a lot of that 70s show, and that intro is like 40 seconds long. And for a TV show, I'm very happy with like a 40-second intro. Like that, Perfect Strangers, any sitcom, any kind of anything. X-Men roughly is 40 seconds to a minute.
Oh yeah,
That's that
John
perfect window.
Wasserman's. However, John Wasserman's theme for X-Men in the 90s, you kind of want that to go on for 5 minutes. It's such a good song.
I was talking to the...
I actually have maybe it's more like 4 minutes power metal version of that song.
I do like all the covers too. They're fun.
Yeah.
I have the original, like, I listen to it I can play it on the piano for fun, but like I listen to it quite a bit. It's just a good song. You know what I found out though is he only got paid his $17 an hour to write all that music, and he owns none of the publishing rights, and so he's happy about the music, but like the dude's greatest work is just not his to make any money from. I feel bad for him.
Well, he also did Power Rangers for 10 years.
Yep, but that also is included
Same
in that.
deal. Yeah.
It's a bond, because I had the writers of X-Men on the channel the other week, and they were talking about it, and they brought it up themselves. So I was like, oh man, it's like all these great people, they create their best work nowadays, and Disney bought it. Disney owns it. Ugh. Oh shit, Hasbro owns Power Rangers, so Hasbro owns it now.
It's a shit deal.
Yeah. Oh well. I mean, if there was a way we could help out Ron Wasserman, we would. But I don't know. Folks, help him out somehow. I don't know what to say. So guys, let's check back in with the audience, and then let's close this show out. So, thank you to everyone who's joined us tonight. Thank you for everyone who's hit that thumbs up button. Do it because it helps us with YouTube. It's never about our egos. It's about how we can win against the algorithm. So thank you, folks, for everything you guys do for us. We appreciate you. Now, we have a Fuck, Marry, Kill. Songs to fuck to. The X-Men animated series theme, Superman 78 theme, Batman 89 theme, or the movie theme for Mortal Kombat, aka Techno Syndrome.
Oh, Mortal Kombat.
Could you keep up to that?
Yes.
Oh, geez, good for you, man.
He didn't miss a beat. Respect. Respect.
I mean, how could... Okay, so we've all know, like, the scenes from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where Mac tries to do the karate chops in the air. If I heard the Mortal Kombat theme, I would try... I can't not try to do weird fight moves to that, so that would kill the mood.
Yeah, it would. I mean, I'll go one further. If you want to do something from Batman and you want to have sex to his music, Prince's Electric Chair.
I'll go with that one.
That's a great one for getting down to. And
Anybody born
funny
in
is
the
that's
80s
one of the
would-
hardest ones to find to listen to on YouTube or any of the other stuff. You have to buy the album in order to get it.
There's that song "Dirty Laundry" by Don Henley is like that too. It took forever to find it, and they finally put it out about a year ago. But for some reason, it wasn't on any kind of streaming or YouTube. Like the licensing is weird too, because like I pay for YouTube Music, where you'll have like the album for something, but like certain tracks are blacked out, but then they appear on other albums. It's like rights are the weirdest thing in the world, how they work. But I'm not here to complain about it anymore, folks. TLJ Screwjob, I will bang to the Superman theme because fuck it, why not?
Well, dun to the dun is your starting move, right? So
Yeah, my chair is squeaky today.
I would go with X-Men, honestly. I could do it.
Okay, now would you do it to the bass line or the main part? Because if you could keep up to the bass line, then you're a hero.
I mean,
you know, the main
why
action
not the
part's
whole
still-
damn thing?
well, it's got to be on repeat because the Superman theme and the Batman themes are both over 3 minutes. In fact, Superman I think is closer to 7. So if you're
That ain't shit.
yeah,
Yeah,
That's
it
not-
isn't. But you could do the interlude part.
yeah, a little bit. Can you read my mind? Interlude. Yeah.
Anybody born in the 80s or earlier knows that Sade is baby making music. So
It's the sweetest taboo. God, Smooth Operator. I heard that song like 5,000 times as a kid on the radio. I didn't even know it was a banging song back then.
No, it was. Yeah, I miss the
She was
days when you
everywhere.
could get away with those subtleties because censors were idiots.
Yeah. All the parents groups and all the religious groups, they were all
Yeah.
worried. The PMRC, they're after me.
Yeah. Now they don't play a Baby It's Cold Outside on the radio, but
God.
WAP that's okay.
Yep.
That pisses me off, but I'll save that rant for another day. But TLJ Screwjob, to answer your question about, I'll just rank it for you real quick. Fuck, Marry, Kill, Death. X-Men's the best, followed by Superman, Batman, and then Mortal Kombat. That's my ranking. Now, TLJ Screwjob also says, Jeff, don't you mean Kevin Pride? Feel bad for Iceman. Oh yeah, Iceman's gay.
Oh right, that's right. Elliot Page played.
I don't acknowledge anything that Marvel has done since
Script, isn't it funny how we both went in opposite directions? You went, oh yeah, Ellen Page, and I went, oh yeah, Iceman's gay. Like we went two completely different ways to get to the same point of, oh, everything's different now.
Yeah.
I drink, therefore I am. Thank you very much, man, for your generous super chat. He says, Tulsa King was filmed in Oklahoma City with a few scenes filmed outside of Tulsa. And one jam ram, please. Well, I hope he got the jam ram and I pressed it on the way out. But I need to watch that show again because it was that good. I really enjoyed it. Folks,
it is really good. A lot of the mistakes that Taylor Sheridan Co. did on Yellowstone, he avoids in Tulsa King.
I'm really cautiously optimistic about the second season since they just fired the showrunner. But I hope that doesn't really affect the quality because I dug the show. So
it's touch and go right now, but hopefully they can pull something out great because I really enjoyed that first season.
Dude, Dwight Manfredi was a great character. The points that he could make about modern society as a 70-year-old man in the being in jail for 25 years really felt poignant and relevant. I mean, I'm only 34 years old, but I'm still like confused sometimes. I'm like, what the hell happened? I'm very aware of what happened and why it happened. I've been with you on the changes, but I'm still in the bigger picture. I'm like, why or how did this happen? And I really enjoy that show addresses that. It makes him like aware of the modern world, but he's not some old school asshole, racist, whatever they would try to write for HBO. Dwight's a good dude who likes everybody. It doesn't matter what you look like. If you're on the team, you're on the team. And that show's like accidentally diverse. I'm sure it was all a point, but they don't really write it as a talking point. Dwight doesn't ever go, oh, you're a good black guy and I should look differently at blah, blah, blah. No. He just likes Titus. It was refreshing.
It was genuine. That's the other part too.
I felt that. Like I said, I'm going to watch it again just for the hell of it. Now, TLJ Screwjob has a question for you guys. He says, speaking of games, Wolf and Script, any games you can't enjoy because of subjective things? Mine is Zelda's voice in Breath of the Wild. Just not how I picture it.
Her voice doesn't bother me at all in that game, actually.
I don't remember it.
But it's got kind of a British flair to it. Not really. Just like bad writing and bad gameplay in games ruins games for me. like if the story is crap, it's hard for me to enjoy it. If the gameplay is crap, it's hard for me to enjoy it. Little things like, as long as it's not main characters having just ridiculously bad voice acting consistently, I can even deal with a little bit of inconsistency if there's a couple of moments where it's like, you could have sold that line better. Games are a multifaceted thing. I rank them based on a lot of different things. So I can't really think of anything off the top of my head, to be honest. I very seldom end up playing games that I don't enjoy because I'm very deliberate with the games that I do end up investing my money and time into. It's very rare for me to come across a game where I chose to buy this and I do not enjoy it. Very seldom.
I will tell you that I won't play The Last of Us 2, not because of any of the political shit. I just don't like those types of games, which are mostly CGI cutscenes and banal action. I'm all about the experience. So, folks, I'd rather play... I like Uncharted, but I don't do Last of Us. So it's not a Naughty Dog problem. It's a, gameplay problem. I don't like to just sit there for hours and be engrossed in a story. If my controller turns off during a cutscene, you have made an interactive movie, not a video
don't
game.
Ever play the Xenosaga trilogy from the PS2, dude. There's some cutscenes that last literally like 50 minutes.
And I don't and I only preface this so I don't sound like I have no attention span, but I don't want that level of story in a game. I am about the gameplay. I'm
Totally
pick
fine.
up and go. Super Mario is perfect for me. Now, I love a deep story like a Zelda. I get into the lore. I can tell you all about that shit. But like, Zelda also tells the story in an engaging way that you're on board with the journey. Like when you get to a cutscene in Zelda, well, not Ocarina of Time, but like when you get to a cutscene in Breath of the Wild, I personally was excited for it because I'm like, oh shit, what else am I going to learn? What else am I going to find out about Hyrule? Oh, we're 100 years in the future? Cool. How did I wake up from this? Cool. Like when it's, up to 4 minutes long, I'm okay with that. But like, I thought Resident Evil, I'm playing the demo. The Resident Evil 4 remake did it well too, where the cutscene was very good, but then the gameplay started. They even had like, this is what I dig about Japanese games. They'll do a nice image and then they'll have text that you read, kind of like those journal entries in the old Resident Evil games. Like they kept that aesthetic. It was just kind of nice to be like, oh, I don't have to watch extra cutscenes. I just can read it real quick.
Yeah.
That's where I like my gameplay. It's all in that, middle area.
Yeah, I don't really play many modern games, so I never had that issue. Like I played like traditional, like old school NES games.
We were
that I
playing
still have.
Diablo 2 a few months ago.
Yeah, like Zelda. Like the current modern games that I'm playing right now, every once in a while, is Valheim. Like, and that's really just a survival game where you can do whatever you want. You can build a cool structure, or you can go out and slaughter dragons and wolves and forest creatures. It's like. It's of your own stuff. That's basically it.
Up next, we had from Adama. Thank you very much for mega generous super chat. This is a fun one, guys. Hail to the High Council. What is your favorite AC/DC song for a slow walk in a superhero movie? And we have Livewire, Rock and Roll, Ain't Noise Pollution. For those about The Rock, we salute you. That's what Adama ranks.
Well, for those about The Rock is really good.
I mean, all-time favorite is Shoot to Thrill, and it's not even close for me.
I like a Long Way to the Top.
That's a great one. That's top. I would have to put that in my top 4. Number 2 would probably be Highway to Hell, followed by number 3 being Back in Black, and then probably
Thunderstruck. Yes.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a great song. Yeah. You ever play the drinking game? It's called Thunderfucked, and what you do is you drink every time. You stand in a circle, and you start, and each person drinks until they say, they'll say Thunderstruck, you drink, and you keep drinking until they say Thunderstruck again. But there's a part in the song where somebody has to drink for like a minute straight, and then it's called getting Thunderfucked. So you should play that game. It's a lot of fun.
I'm always hesitant of any drinking game that involves a bunch of men standing in the circle. It's just personal preference.
Chicks could play too. I don't think I've played too many drinking
If we're at a
games with all
table
dudes.
and it's a circle, that's fine, or like a picnic table, I'm good. But the standing part, that's what I'm like something's going down here that I don't think I want to participate in.
Well, here you go. Let's revise the rules. Get in a circle. I don't know how you get in that circle. Sit cross-legged across from each other. I don't know. To answer Adama, I mean, I don't want to sound too repetitive. I like Shoot to Thrill. That's my favorite AC/DC song.
I
But
fucking
for
love
the
that song so much. I will roll all my windows down and I will open up my sunroof when that song comes on.
Now, here you go, Adama. I bet you didn't see this coming. For a slow walk in a superhero film, I want to see Deadpool do a slow motion superhero walk to Big Balls by AC/DC. That would be fucking
God.
awesome.
That would actually be appropriate in his case.
Well, if not that, it'd be Tom Sawyer by Rush.
Oh, yeah.
Because Ryan Reynolds would do the Canadian thing.
He would. He definitely would.
He's not a fan of Aussies. I get it. That's okay.
Oh no,
Nobody's
I'm
perfect.
pretty sure he is, but it's just like, how do you have something that feels Deadpool but at the same time is cool? Because Deadpool would try to go a little contrarian to a degree.
Mhm.
If I hear Tom Sawyer though in one more goddamn movie, that's like the
That is
most
an
overplayed
overused-
Rush song.
It's used as much as TNT or Shoot to Thrill, because those are very easy to afford AC/DC songs for a movie. Yeah,
Dude, TNT, that was in so much shit in the 90s.
yeah.
Pretty sure it was in like a commercial for something too.
I know, and it was never used to advertise Dynamite. It's always struck me weird.
Yeah, I don't know what
Slow
the
Ride is
advertising
also a freaking
budget is.
overused song.
Oh, by Foghat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, fucking.
We should just do a whole show one night. What are the most overused songs in entertainment? Well, if I hear X ever again, I'm gonna jump off the bridge.
Yeah, I mean, okay, a frequent song used in superhero properties, not necessarily movies, but like television show, cartoons, was Bonnie Tyler's "I Need a Hero," which was also used in Shazam, and I don't think it fit well in that scene. Like they did it for the joke, and yeah, it didn't land for me. But yeah, it's used a lot. It was used in Shrek too, I think.
I only just recently saw the first Shrek for the first time like a month ago.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Welcome to the 2000s, my friend.
Look, I had no
Boys.
interest watching
Sabotage.
that movie when it came out. I had no interest watching it when I was roped into watching it a month ago. But I sat through it and I was like, all right, it wasn't terrible. It was fine. It was inoffensive. It's just, I don't know. That one, obviously it's not my age because that movie came out, it was what, 2001? So, I mean, I wasn't in high school yet. I was still a kid by all rights.
Sixth, seventh grade.
Yeah, it was the thing amongst most of the people my age, but it passed me up. I was like, yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna go over here and just like keep watching Batman Beyond. I might.
I was halfway through high school then.
We watched it in grade school. They brought it to us on tape. For some reason, they thought we should watch it in school. So that's the first time I saw Shrek. And I didn't get into the other ones. But the one thing that really... we were talking about songs just a quick second ago. I saw the trailer for Puss in Boots. They put Smash Mouth's All-Star in the trailer. Why do they keep putting that in kids' movies? That song's like 25 years old. We were the kids of that era.
Yeah, I was going to say that's our song. You can't use that song. That's our song.
But they keep putting All-Star in every DreamWorks animated trailer. It's like, hey, now you're an All-Star Puss in Boots. Hey, now you're an All-Star Shrek. Hey, now How to Train Your Dragon. It's like really overused. And I don't hate that song. I had my time when I was like, wow, this song sucks. I can't believe I bought the CD. And now I've come around for the last like 10 years. Like, cool, All-Star's on. I'll listen to it every once in a while.
Well,
but
we don't have many musicians today. That's really the sentence. You don't have many musicians today. Because
I was going to say, you can really just leave it right there.
Yeah, like how many hit songs have there really been out there in comparison to the frequency with which we grew up with and with our parents grew up with, and even before then, like even before rock and roll, they were still like very interesting and decent songs that still carried on.
In today's music, dude, songs will be a hit song in today will be a hit for like 5 minutes, and by 5 minutes I mean like maybe it is for that year at best, and then it's kind of forgotten.
What was the last like super hit that everybody was singing? Like, I'm
Probably
asking
a
the
Daft
chat.
Punk song.
One more time. 20
Yeah,
years ago.
probably one more time actually.
I get like the last like music trend I can remember would be like Gangnam Style or something. Like that song was popular.
The South
try to
Korean
forget
one.
about
I remember that. That was what, 2011,
12,
2012.
I think. That was I was in college. That was my like first year at UC. I was having fun with it. I'd go to parties and drink.
I'm
listen to
thinking
that
like
song.
Nelly's Hot in Here, but that was pretty catchy.
Oh yeah. Everybody wanted to sing that.
It Wasn't Me by Shaggy.
Yeah.
It's all circa turn of the century.
Yeah, it's been. I would say like Gangnam Style was the last one because of the internet, but like
But
I
that's
guess because
also a
think,
foreign
like,
song. It's not
pre-internet.
domestic. Yeah, like it's.
What was worth a damn pre-internet? What was the
Smash
last?
Mouth, All Star by Smash
There you
Mouth.
go. Good enough. Maybe that's why they keep using it.
Well, the years start coming and they don't stop coming, and you know the rest of the words.
Oh, there's also One Week by Bare Naked Ladies. That was pretty popular.
That's another one of those. If I never hear it again,
You'd be
like,
happy. Yeah.
yeah, because it was on the radio every 5 minutes, and then if you ever went out to like a bar and somebody was karaokeing, they go, "Hey, watch this," and they would just be like, "I know all the rap parts," and they would just say all the shit really fast, and you're like, "Cool, yeah, you know the random parts to Bare Naked Ladies, awesome." I always think of them as like the nerd band that didn't realize they were the nerd band. Like they were the Drew Carey guys. They showed up on that show. The lead singer looked like Drew Carey. They were never that cool. They weren't popular.
Cool. They were also proto woke. They used to make fun of, because they're from Canada, they used to make fun of Canadian culture, saying like, if we were in Canada and we didn't have our multiculturalism, the only Canadian food would be peanut butter and toast. It's like, dude, that's really stupid. Like that's how much they hated where they came from and what they were trying to do. And this is back in the early 90s.
Well, I mean, entertainers have been idiots for a lot longer than just the last 10 years. It just so happens to be that in the last 10 or 15 years, they've been far more vocal about it. And, you know, the old adage about, you know, it's better to keep silent and be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Exactly. And nothing better demonstrates that than the internet.
Yep.
And I enjoy it for myself. I like it when I get to be foolish.
Oh, I do too. Now, Adam Wofford, thank you very much for both of these. He said, first off, he wanted to clarify, not Michael Clayton, Michael Keaton was there was a movie where Michael Keaton got into a Japanese car and it fell apart.
Oh, that makes more sense now.
Yeah, I just was like, I didn't see Michael Clayton. I'm sorry, man. But he also says, someone needs to send Jeff a 40K army. We will never see him again. Spend hundreds of hours painting. Yes. By the way, I just want to say it again, and I'll mention it every week until a person responds. Thank you to a listener named Keela who sent me Beverly Hills Cop on CED, as well as a Japanese movie ticket from 1984. Oh, it had to be 85 when it came out in Japan. But like, yeah,
wow.
The P.O. Box, people talk about California being messed up. It is. It's still messed up. I sent out mail in November, and I got it returned like a couple of days ago. So like, all that shit has been stupid. But a listener sent, like I said, the CED, which is the final format of Beverly Hills Cop. So, folks, check us out on Twitter. I might even put it out on our TikTok today. But I just wanted to say thank you because, like, I was super excited to get that in the mail. So, folks, if you want to send something to the P.O. Box, we'll give you some updated information very soon. But in the meantime, thank you. And the film was Gung Ho from Adam Wofford.
Okay.
Now, TLJ Screwjob says, the worst part of A Nightmare on Elm Street isn't the blood, although the bed fountain is bad. It's the sounds the dragged up against the wall girl makes. The squeals and grunts and stuff. I know, just a movie, but really unsettling. Well, TLJ Screwjob, I know what you're talking about. Like Tina gets ripped up the wall. When I was in grade school, I caught a new Nightmare on TV when the girl got dragged across the ceiling, and that imagery stuck with me for a long time. So I definitely know what you're talking about when it sticks with you. But Tina's death is hard to watch because it's very real. Like, you watch the buildup of her getting played with by Freddy in the dream, and then you just see her up in the air and all that shit, and then she just falls, and it's silence. It's really uncomfortable. It's the most realistic death in that movie. Because, like, when Rod gets killed in the prison cell, Nancy's watching him, and it's whatever. When Johnny Depp gets sucked in the bed, you got that over-the-top music and, you know, the mom screaming. But that, to be, like, in horror, it's the silence after something really horrific that makes it really... Because you have to stick with it. You have to just live with what you just
And she's
saw.
all alone, too, in that one.
Yeah.
It's
because
intimate.
what's his face was...
Invisible.
What happened to the boyfriend? He ran out.
Yeah.
Right? Because he got scared. I was
I would have never left her if she were wearing that in front of me. I'm just saying, like, I don't care what's going on.
You know what, though? A Nightmare on Elm Street and Terminator have almost the exact same scene, because that Nightmare on Elm Street scene where he's trying to fight off Freddy or whatever is just like when the Terminator comes into the bedroom and kills the other roommate. So I'm mixing up the scenes in my head because they're both from 1984, so... And they're both low-budget films.
Good year for movies, man.
You know, I used to always go, 1985 so great because of Back to the Future. And while I agree 85 is great, 84 might win.
82, 84, parts of 85. Like, there's a good stretch in that decade of some really fantastic and creative films.
I would argue 88. I mean, you know, 89's got all those great big summer hits, but like 88 had a lot of great classics too, like Beetlejuice and Coming to America. Mm-hmm. But I think 84 might be the prime window because it's like you got Temple of Doom, You got Ghostbusters, Beverly Hills Cop. You got Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm sure there's a fucking Friday the 13th Part 3 out that year. But there's like other like serious movies too. There's all kinds of shit in the 80s. Script, do you think it's the best decade for movies, or do you think it's the 90s?
No, 80s is far superior to the 90s. 90s got closer into effects, where 80s was like, we don't have a lot of money for effects, so we still have to make movies count, and so that the effects actually have a meaning for it. But with every decade post 80s, the effects take over, and the interesting and fun parts of the movies are dwindled down to the point where like now we have a couple of the Marvel movies and some other action films where it's nonstop action, but where's the character? Where's the relationship? Where's the struggle? Where's the thing that gets us involved in on the hook? And it's not really there. What we get is, the quick cuts from The Bourne Identity, or Liam Neeson taking 45 seconds to hop over a fence, and it's done in 48 cuts. It's so weird. It's because of the technology has made it so much easier to do fantastical things. It now becomes no longer as important as it was many years before, where it's like, oh, we only have X amount of dollars, which means we can only do like 2 set pieces. So we have to make sure that we can hold the audience's attention around those set pieces, or else they're not going to enjoy those set pieces. And nowadays it's like, we can do a set piece every 2 minutes. Who cares if there's dialogue in between? Heck, let's just make a silent movie and just tons of action.
Like a Zack Snyder movie.
Zack Snyder movie, Michael Bay movie, they can do it now.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Exactly.
We've learned that the hard way. Joseph
They were
Fazio
so busy thinking about whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
I need to
What's
watch
that
that
from?
movie more. Jurassic Park.
Okay, good man.
I may have not seen Jurassic Park until its 25th anniversary in 2013.
I'm sorry, fucking excuse me?
Wait, mister, I just saw Shrek 21 years later.
All right, fine, whatever.
Look, I am not here to debate which is a better film, but Shrek was culturally relevant. Culturally relevant as Jurassic Park was in that weird window of time. Like,
you are a boy. You are genetically and biologically obligated to watch a fucking dinosaur flick, Jeff.
You know why I didn't watch it much as a kid, or at all as a kid? Because the Power Rangers had dinosaurs. So I was like, dinosaurs, robots, fighting, the Pink Ranger. It was all there in that show.
Now, have any of you guys seen Westworld, like the original?
Oh yeah, I haven't seen the show, but I own the movie.
Yeah, I was really hoping the show would be more like the movie, but then when I saw it was Jonathan Nolan, J.J. Abrams, and Jonathan Nolan's wife, I was like, oh, this is good. They're gonna miss the ball, and they did. But again, same guy who wrote Jurassic Park wrote Westworld, and they both have the exact same themes about letting technology get away from you.
I remember seeing that poster as a kid at a video store, and it stuck with me. It was one of those images where I'm like, what am I looking at? Like, I understood it was a cowboy robot, but it has that weird, like, weirdness to it. Like, you can see inside of him. And so that was just one of those striking movie posters. I thought about that movie for years before I ever saw it. I just knew it was the killer robot cowboy. And
Yul Brynner looks like a robot, so it worked.
Yeah. Dude, he's a scary dude. He's more effective at being scary than so many other characters, and he's not even in a horror film. Like, Megan is meant to be a horror film. That robot's kind of dumb. The gunslinger is scary.
Yep.
Joseph Fazio, thank you very much. He says, you don't deserve this power. Would have been a better Shazam story if Rock did it. But just shows WB, Rock, and Zach don't know how Shazam or DC. Yeah. You know how I feel about The Rock on the channel, folks. Love the wrestler, but the DC power play didn't work. And seeing him versus Shazam versus Black Adam and Superman and all that, really, what would it have been? A bunch of 5-second quotes of run to your mama, and then I'm going to shoulder check you in high HD or something, like a CGI character fights. It wouldn't have been cool. It wouldn't have been great.
Yeah, that one thing I did appreciate is the flying sequences in the Shazam 2 were actually really good.
Yeah.
They were it's like, why couldn't we get this for Superman? In the recent films, it was controlled, it was in focus, they had cool arcs and movement, and not a lot of it was CG, and if it was almost imperceivable.
I liked, however, they did the effect, because what I had read online and seen in videos was a lot of the Rock CGI and the flying in Black Adam was like putting his head on another body and trying to do certain things with it, and it didn't look right.
Yep.
But the Shazam stuff just, I don't know, it all matched. It all
Was there?
blended well.
It's like I think there was wire work in here. Like that's
Yeah.
what I was looking at. Yeah.
I was impressed, and I thought the costumes looked nice too.
Mhm.
Space Monkey 0899, thank you for all these. We're going to read these all in order. In a perfect world, Keanu Reeves plays Revan. You guys like that idea?
Yes.
I think that can work. Yeah.
I would buy Keanu playing Revan. However, in the current state of things, I want Disney Lucasfilm to stay a galaxy far, far way the fuck away from my Old Republic shit. Don't touch my Old Republic. I will drive down to Anaheim and whoop some asses myself.
You don't have to drive down to Anaheim. You want to come to... I live closer to actual Disney studios than the theme park. They're not even close.
Or wherever.
They're in Burbank, I think. Yeah. Still.
Yep.
Burbank. Okay, fine. I've been to Burbank.
The Disney animation studios need to drive by. I have nothing... The history and the legacy of that animation studio is hard to shit on. Like, yes, Disney's garbage today. Yes, we have the opinions we do and all that stuff. But it'd be disingenuous to act like their achievements in animation isn't something to at least look back on and go, wow, they really did a lot. Like, there's a point in time where Walt Disney was cool-ish. Or at least the shit he created was coolish.
The animation techniques he brought into play were absolutely fantastic. I mean, he was part of the team that pioneered the rotoscoping effect, and you have to give him props for that. I mean, when you look at it now, all you can say to Disney is, "What the heck happened, man?" It's like,
I would love to be able to bring him back to life to see what Disney became. That'd be hilarious.
You'd die.
Put me back.
Yeah, he would want to be just put right back in the ground where he came from.
He's like, freeze my head back again.
Yeah, I thought he was frozen somewhere with Ted Williams, the baseball player.
Yep.
Or frozen
That
with
is
Han
the story.
Solo. Well, you know where they are at. They're actually in that warehouse from the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. They're being guarded by top men.
Top men.
Fucking William Hootkins was cool. Samurai Champloo has the best, and Cowboy Bebop have the best music. I'll have to check out Samurai Champloo, but I have Cowboy Bebop on Blu-ray, and I have the action figure. So.
That's my all-time favorite anime, followed very closely by Gundam Wing.
It is a good show that I enjoy quite a bit, and I'm happy to own. Space Monkey also says, also Outlaw Star has the best opener and closer.
Outlaw Star is a very under-the-radar, underrated anime because it was airing on Toonami around roughly the same time that shows like Trigon and Inuyasha and Cowboy Bebop were. And so, as well as, it was either Tenchi Muyo or Tenchi in Tokyo, one of the two. And so there were a lot of shows that just kind of overshadowed it in terms of popularity. But it's a very good show.
I'll have to check it out. Trying to give an answer for the best intro. I'm biased towards Lupin the Third. That's just a great one. It's cool. It's iconic. It's got great music, and it says one thing: Lupin the Third. That's all you need. And finally, Space Monkey says Joss Whedon stole several story beats from Outlaw Star, such as a mystery girl in a suitcase.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. He's got a little bit of a reputation of borrowing a bit more, but he's also got, you know, like some pretty substantial accomplishments that you can't really shy away from.
This is true.
Yeah, and that first Avengers movie is still an achievement.
It's his only good movie because nobody saw Firefly.
Yeah.
Or yeah,
Serenity.
Serenity. Yeah, I didn't even get the title right. That's how impactful it was. Even though I really did like the Firefly show. Yeah.
Yeah, I got introduced to it and I enjoyed it. I like Nathan Fillion quite a bit, so
me too.
It's an easy sell. Anything he's in, I'll watch. As the good guy or the bad guy, I like him equally in both roles because he can play the most earnest dude on the planet, but he can play the biggest douchebag in the world. It's great. Now, Adama, thank you very much, says when Professor X came out and the X-Men animated theme started playing, it was the best part of Doctor Strange 2. Ron Wasserman is a great TV and cartoon theme composer. He was a big part of my childhood. Mine as well, Adama. The Power Rangers soundtrack was pretty solid. I mean, for being a kid's TV show, I had that album. It was like a rock and roll whatever, and it was pretty, like, again, for a kid show, it was pretty high intensity. Yeah, they weren't screaming fuck this and fuck that, but the guitar shredding was legit. That dude could play.
Well, he did that on a machine, and it was Eddie Vedder learned how to play it for his kid. And when he told Ron Rasmussen, he's like, I just did it with a computer. He's like, really? Because it took me 4 months to learn how to do that.
Oh, that's disappointing. I thought it was him going like, with a guitar being a badass. Oh.
No, like
Childhood
he actually
broken.
has there's an interview of him recounting that story on YouTube many years ago when Vedder was still with us, and it was fascinating because I actually got into a rabbit hole because one of the modern day guys who I like to compare with Ron Rasmussen is Christopher Drake, who's done some fantastic movie scores, especially for DC cartoons, and it just led me back to like going to the old Marvel stuff and catching what Ron Rasmussen doing his X-Men, doing his Power Rangers, and the amount of songs that he put out for Power Rangers over the years. Then the period where he left, and then the period where he came back, it's amazing. And the way he managed to keep it kind of all feeling like it belongs together, like overall, from like Mighty Morphin all the way through to I think he ended in Galaxies for a bit, and then he came back later. But it all felt like it was the same thing. But different,
Well, I like the consistency. I thought the Power Rangers in Space theme was almost as good as the old Power Rangers theme song.
Yeah.
It's like,
I think the only one he didn't do was the Gold Ranger theme.
I don't even know that one. I got out of Power Rangers during Zeo, so the Gold Ranger was, I think it was Jason, but it wasn't Jason. It was somebody else.
It was Jason and then a pair of triplets or something. But yeah.
Well, it's too much Power Rangers for me, to be honest. Now, we have one more, two more super chats. Oh, no, that was it. One more. From Adama, Fuck, Marry, Kill, Vanilla Ice's Ninja Rap, House of Pain's Jump Around, and Beastie Boys Sabotage.
Wow. You gotta do us like that?
That's
shit.
I think it'd probably go Jump Around, Ninja Rap, Sabotage, because Sabotage is way more overplayed out of the three.
Yeah, though I do enjoy that song, but you are right. It is, of the three, it is definitely the most overplayed.
And I think Jump Around's been around longer than Sabotage, so that says something.
Yeah.
So I might have to say Jump Around, Sabotage, Ninja Rap.
Really? Ninja Rap at the end? Because that song was written in 30 minutes before they filmed it. That's impressive.
And that's
Who'd have
impressive.
guessed that? Go Ninja,
Who'd
go
have guessed
Ninja,
that
go.
exactly? Yeah.
That song reminds me of a joke from Beverly Hills Cop 2 when Axel and crew are invading the oil refinery at the end. He holds a guy hostage. He goes, "Hi, I'm from the Rap Coalition of America. Do you like rap music?" And he comes up with a song that's just "Yo baby, yo baby, yo," and it sounds like "Go Ninja, go Ninja, go," like the same cadence and everything. So every time I hear that fucking song, I just think of Eddie Murphy. But Dom, to answer your question, I will. That song's getting booted. Sorry, I'm killing Ninja Rap. I don't like Ninja Turtles 2 and have no affinity for it in terms of nostalgia. First one only. I'll marry Sabotage because I actually do like the Beastie Boys, and I'll fuck Jump Around because it's a good song too. But yes, I'm with you about it being overused and overplayed by J.J. Abrams in his fucking Star Trek movie. I liked it in the first one because I thought it was funny. You're on Earth, you listen to this song, that makes sense. But when it plays
worked
in outer
in that
space
opening scene.
Yeah. But in the third one, when they use it to confuse all those fucking aliens, that was some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen in a movie. I was like, fuck this, I'm out.
I think I've heard Sabotage across 6 different television shows in the last month.
Wow. That's a lot.
That's too much.
Yeah.
That's way too much.
In fact, I remember the song more than I remember the shows. I think one of them was like in the True Lies, one of the True Lies episodes that came out, if I'm not mistaken.
I forgot that was even on TV.
It feels very 15 years ago. Like it doesn't have any of the woke stuff, but it also feels like a show that would have been a hit 15 years ago, but today is kind of like mundane.
Maybe that's just what I need.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little different. And the wife does get, into physical trouble and she can't beat up everyone around her. So that's a nice, authentic moment.
I like that. I need to watch True Lies. It's been probably 20 years since I've watched it last.
Oh, it's such a great movie. Charlton
The
has
video game
one
ain't bad
scene
either.
kicks ass.
I always think of the horse. That's my favorite part. How he goes to jump it and it just fucking stops. Adaba, thank you very much. When asked, Josh said that he had never heard of Outlaw Star. I actually love both Firefly and Outlaw Star.
Cool.
I need to check out Outlaw Star. I've never heard of it until today.
It's a good watch.
It looks pretty cool. For a minute, I was mistaking it for like Brave Star Heroes, which was this weird cowboy show in space, and it sucked.
Oh, you're talking about
Brave
the
Star.
cowboy show on Mars, right?
Yeah, they had the robot horse.
Yep.
That show was terrible.
It was well animated, but pretty.
Yeah. So I used to see it at Big Lots on tape. I guess the show didn't work, so they had like the show, like maybe there were 5 episodes, but they had like 500 copies, and it was just a whole wall of Brave Star for years. And so I always thought of it as like the Big Lots show. So my mom bought me a copy once because it was like $1 or $2, and I was like, "This is terrible. Why did we get this, Mom?" Because it was $1 and it was funny. But that was shit. Now we did have 2 more pop up. Thank you to Adama. Another one from Matt G, who said, "My film ranking by decades: 80s, 50s, 70s, 60s, 40s, 2000s, 30s, 90s, 2010s. The 90s are worse than you remember. Overall, 2010s is the MCU and almost nothing else." I don't think the 90s are worse than I remember, because I find myself watching movies like that have way more quality and value than I ever remember them having. And I find myself really enjoying a lot of like A Few Good Men, or a lot of the John Grisham stuff, or Harrison Ford had a lot of good movies in the 90s. Mm-hmm.
I disagree with that take entirely.
What I come to is like the 90s was the sanitized version of the 80s. So like compare Lethal Weapon 2 to Lethal Weapon 3. Yes, they're both rated R movies and they're very awesome. But Lethal Weapon 3 is a lot safer and more like, I won't say politically correct, but it was the 90s. So that was the trend. And plus it's Lethal Weapon, so they were always slightly progressive in those movies anyway.
Yeah.
The movies were good.
4
so
was even more safer than 3.
Oh yeah.
But I would say the 90s had more of an output, but the ones that really hit hard. But the 80s had slightly less of the output, but far more of them hit well.
I agree with that. And
I think that's how it works. And I'm going based off like a very fragile memory of this.
I will even argue that we were talking earlier about our evergreen movies. The 80s has more evergreen movies than the 90s, and I'd say any other decade, because you have so many one-off things that are like The Goonies. I think it's an evergreen movie because there was never a second one. You never need to know. You just go on that same adventure with the characters over and over.
Yep.
But other decades just don't, have that same benefit. And so, folks, we have come to the end of another awesome episode. We've reached the amount of time that Stone Cold needs, 316.
And that's a pretty good number right there.
I think that's a good damn number. So, folks, if you like wrestling, come to the WrestleMania meetup next week. We'll have more information. But it's going to be a great opportunity to come hang out. We're going to be here. It's going to be party central. Remember, our meetups aren't boring. They're just, hey, come hang out with a group of people that like the same shit as you. So if you have a WCBS shirt, wear it. That's awesome. If not, that's cool. But you can go to Shop WCBS and get one today. Dion and I will be wearing them. And I may even have the new motorcycle shirt on the site. And I may have a copy for WrestleMania. So be on the lookout for that. I think I'm going to work something out. But ScriptDoctor, I'd like to always thank you for joining us. But where can we find you on the internet, sir?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at ScriptDoctorPhD, and I do have a YouTube channel that's a little dormant at the time, but I actually might have an interview that was exclusive to my Patreons, but I think I'm going to drop it on YouTube in a few more weeks. It's me talking with Robert My Burnett about the fraudulent creator, one of the pivotal aspects to why our entertainment is what it is. But I also do have a Patreon where I do articles, tips, and writing advice, as well as reviews of classic films and television shows. In fact, I'm doing Marx Brothers March, and I've already done the coconuts and oh my god, I'm blanking on the other one.
My family had all of those on DVD. We'd watch them constantly when I was growing up.
Oh, so I did the coconuts and animal crackers already, and then
Okay.
the next one is, I believe, duck soup.
Duck soup is good.
So, and I'm just like watching them, reviewing them, seeing how they hold up, seeing the progression, and it's fun because there's a whole generation out there that probably hasn't really given it a second thought.
Oh, absolutely.
So if you're so inclined, and also if you join my Patreon at certain tiers, you get discounts off my screenwriting consult package. So if you are a screenwriter and you need some very useful notes and strong encouragement to get your script in good shape to send it out there, I do that, and it's very, very cheap compared to my competition, and way more value.
Now, Andrew, anything you'd like to tell the audience about and where they can find you on the internet?
Oh, they can find me over on the Twitter machine, the little blue bird app. You can find me over on Twitch, Caffeinated Wolf as well. I do game streams throughout the week, Mario Kart community streams on Sundays where I let people from the chat join in. We have a ton of fun yelling at each other and resenting each other's existence. And this Thursday, I will reiterate, you can find me right back here reviewing and talking about John Wick Chapter 4 with Jeff and the rest of the WCBS crew.
Yes, folks, join us on Thursday night. That is the next time you can catch me live here on YouTube. But we've been dropping content left and right. It's been successful, so thank you to all our new subscribers. We had another big jump, so we're deep into the 177,000 territory, on our way to 200. So, folks, tell everybody about it. WCBS has taken over the world. I mean, hell, it's in our name, world-class bullshitters, so that's appropriate. The world's my office, so hey, everybody in the world's going to know about us. But, folks, we got all that content. I did another page of Wokebusters today. Going to keep drawing that book and giving updates and all that fun stuff. It's an epic, as I keep saying, and I can't wait to share it with you. And if you like classic comic books, I'm going to ask you to help find some of the inspirations. I have a very famous splash page is referenced in Wokebusters. If you're an old school comic fan, you're going to know it right away. But if you're more, into the modern stuff and haven't read any of the older stuff, it might be lost on you, but it's still a beautiful page, and all you old school fans are going to eat it up left and right. So, folks, be on the lookout for that. Get yourself a copy at wokebusterscomic.com. But if you need something really quickly, titsandart.com. Go get yourself a copy of those books. I'm going to be shipping out last week's on Wednesday because I've had some behind-the-scenes stuff that I've had to take care of. So if you want to get yourself a copy, we'll be shipping stuff out starting tomorrow. So get yourselves that. It's a big, beautiful book, and come hang out with us. But I'm going to go because it's late, and I'm contemplating staying up for The Mandalorian. Last week's episode was dog shit, so...
Man, last week's episode, I was so engaged for that first 7 or 8 minutes, and then they blue-balled me for the next 45 minutes until the final few minutes where I was like, oh, well, cool, it got interesting again. Right before the credits. Thank you. Fuck me.
So
Yeah.
what are the odds that muscular chick's going to be Abby in the second season of The Last of Us on HBO?
Don't know, don't care. I haven't watched the first season, not going to watch the second.
Yeah, no, I'm not staying up for Mandalorian. Sorry,
I'll watch it when I get up in the morning at 8 and I'm having my coffee and waking up for work.
Yeah, I'm going to go out and get some
Unless
groceries
my insomnia kicks my ass tonight, and we'll see. If 3 a.m. rolls around and I'm still wide awake, then maybe I will watch it.
Well, it's only 2.5 hours for me, and that'll take me to midnight, so maybe. But Darian 2 and 7, I saw your message. I gotta check one thing about trying to do a live event like that. What I might do is just do some sort of live stream, call that an episode as a fun thing. But realistically, the locations we're going to will not be able to offer that. So, worst case scenario, we'll just hang out with you guys and we'll have an episode pre-recorded. But realistically, the fan meetup is more about seeing everybody, and Friday is going to be the crazy one at Universal. So I'm going to get there early, scope out the park, but you could meet us at the inside, right at the Nintendo shop at noon. You can't miss me. You honestly won't be able to miss me. I'm legitimately 6'5". So if you walk past me, okay, that's fine. It's happened before that people have walked right past me, but it's hard to do. So just look for me. And here, I got a haircut, so I might look different.
If you go to Wizarding World while you're at Universal, you do have to send me pictures. You know that, right?
I've been there like literally 50 times. Like it's to me, it's just like going to the right when you walk into Universal. Yeah,
I
man.
know.
I get a
I'm saying
butterbeer
if you
every
go
time.
again this time, then you have to send me pictures.
Oh, dude, well, I'll send you. Look, I'll do a small live stream through that part of the park, and I'll give you a shout out. You can tell me anything you want to see in the park. I'll show you, man.
Hell yeah, that makes me happy.
Folks, thank you for watching. We'll be back next time with more. But in the meantime, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other. And now I get to play you out with a button from my all-time favorite movies.
You're never gonna regret this, Ray.
My parents left me that house. I was born there.
You're not gonna lose the house.